Good evening and welcome to our scrimmage. It's a four-way scrimmage to kick off our August football season. 2 weeks from tonight is opening night at Sydney. With Rick Reed, I'm Bill Tipple. Thanks to Horvath Productions and WBCS. And the Chiefs start the scrimmage with a toss play to Braylon Newcomb. He gets about 11 yards. Good-looking first play, Rick.
Yeah, I love jet sweep on the first play of any game, especially the first scrimmage. Easy money stuff here into the boundary. Nice little pickup.
Now, was there some kind of a flag, or they just redo it?
That's a good question. They may be doing everything from the 40.
Okay. So things will get situational here tonight, right?
Yeah, they're going to do a lot of coaching here, especially at home in the first scrimmage.
Xavier St. Clair in shotgun. Throws out in the flat. Caught by, I believe, that's Hayden Clary.
Kind of along the same mindset as that jet, just a quick little speed out to Clary, get everybody comfortable, get the offensive line comfortable, don't have to protect as well on a pass like that.
Yeah, again, it goes back to the 40, so this is very situational. Thanks for joining us for our broadcast, by the way, tonight. You're floating around the stadium, still time to pop in. It's a four-way here at AccuSport Stadium. Bellefontaine, the home team, obviously, against Salina. Two very good teams last year. Then on the left side of the 50, we're not really giving any video of this, but it's Allen East, and they're going against the Leipzig Vikings, a couple of smaller schools. But Salina last year was a Final Four team. Chiefs were a Final 8 team, both in Division III, so some really high-level football.
Yeah, we really would have liked to have a chance to play Salina last year.
Yeah. Salina played Columbus Waterson and lost a pretty close game to them. There's a little counter. Ooh.
Yeah, first look at counter tray. Looked like Mike Becker ran a little window there.
And a nice hit on Carter Caudill, who's not easy to get down. Now, he never really got going, but that was a good-looking play by Salina. The Bulldogs out of the Western Buckeye League. Looks like they're a
Odd
4-2, 4-3.
Yeah, I mean, some stack tendencies. They'll slide these backers around, but stay in that odd look up front.
St. Clair wants to pass, has some pressure, gets away from that.
Yeah, having a little bit of trouble with number 51 here early. Salina returns some kids. You know, they lost quite a bit, but they also got quite a bit back. I guess that's when you have a good season. It's hard for us to know who's who with the number situation.
Well, I think everybody kind of does that.
Cameron Felson is a returning O-line, D-line, all-league guy. That might be 51.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a handful early on. Chiefs, no really down and distance. St. Clair wants to pass. Pretty good coverage. It's caught by Newcomb around the 30.
Well, again, giving up quite a bit of pressure. It's a lot easier to cover.
Well, the Chiefs have, I guess, 5 new linemen out here, right?
Well, 4 if you count Jesse Castle. He started late in the season. But, yeah, 4.5 at least.
Yeah.
And it's tough. You know, we've been through this quite a few times over the years. When you got new guys in there, there's an adjustment.
Yeah, but this is a great learning environment here. And I know Rick's the long-time offensive line coach for the Chiefs, now our color analyst. So he's been there and done that. Here comes immediate pressure again. And I think it's still complete. Newcomb looked like he went down and got it.
Well, sometimes when you're giving up that pressure, that's the best thing to do is run somebody just quickly over the middle and dump it off. Salina widen their tackles there and kind of beat us off the edge.
In your mind, is it tougher to run block or pass block for the new line?
Well, yeah, I don't know if I got a great answer for you. I think it depends on the kid. If you're an athletic kid, pass blocking's easier. If you're maybe don't have as good of feet, the pass blocking can be tricky early.
Okay. All right. Looks like Caden Folk now in the backfield, just to the left of Tavian St. Clair. Immediate pressure again. St. Clair throws, and it's incomplete, but pretty good coverage. I've been impressed with the Salina defense so far. I know that here I think defense is almost always ahead of offense early on, but I think the Salina defense will look pretty good.
But yeah, they only sent 3 guys there, so they're able to have 8 guys in coverage.
Mm-hmm. And for what we've seen from the Chiefs, we kind of expected this. They look like they're, pass first with an elite quarterback.
Well, empty set here, so almost guaranteed to pass.
Now an empty set, 5 receivers for Tavian St. Clair. Pretty good protection on this play. He's looking to wind up, go deep for Newcomb, and it's caught for a touchdown.
Salina acting like it was killed. Maybe not. Looks like a touchdown. That was pretty good protection. We picked up there was kind of a hard bull in the middle, and we sat down on it and gave Tavian plenty of time. You say Newcomb caught that ball?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That was that post route from the 7-on-7. I would guess he started in the slot.
Yeah, that would be my guess, too.
It's been a staple here for a while. Now, I know we typically ran it with Riley Neer out of the split, but Ethan Yoder a couple years ago ran that post route out of the slot. We talked about the 7-on-7. It's just tough to cover. It ends up being a 1-on-1.
Now the Chiefs, again, this is what I call the situational. They're going to go, looks to me like 1st and goal to 10.
Yeah, and I guess we're going to get 4 plays here. I think we had an 8 from the 40.
Mm-hmm.
And then Salina will turn around and do the same thing.
Would you say this is more of a 3, the kind of the Vogue defense is like a 3-3 stack or a 3-5 stack, or this use more of a 4-2 look here?
Well, to me, it was definitely a 3-man front, and that stayed consistent. You got 4 techniques and a 0. These backers are kind of a stack slide. I mean, you could call it a 3-4.
Here comes a run blitz. St. Clair throws.
Yeah, we had that there.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, he had his receiver open right about the 2-yard line.
It's number 9, Jacob Salyer.
A slant. What's hard about the first scrimmage if you're a new player? Is it the nerves?
Well, speak specifically to the box players, the speed.
Okay.
Some of these guys are new, and they've been going against bags, and it's just not the same. These cats from Salina are coming a little quicker.
Yeah?
Little
St.
even
Clair wants
front
to
look
pass
there.
again.
So they gave us a different look there. Went to an even and brought someone off the edge. That's a tough part here early, is if you start seeing different looks. The communication part of it will come last.
Yeah, they also call this differently as far as, if it's a real game.
Right.
I'm not sure anybody tackles St. Clair immediately. He had immediate pressure, but I think he got outside. But
it will be a major failure if Tavian's hit today in that kind of situation. They could run him. I doubt it.
Chiefs this time with 3 split wide.
A little better there, picking that up.
Oh, nice.
They ran to Mike in A gap. We did a good job of coming off with our center and gave Tavian time.
Yeah, but well blocked and heck of a throw. There's pretty good coverage. There was not that much of a window, but he squeezed it into Newcomb for the touchdown.
And I think that was the same concept.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Newcomb's been quite the addition. We saw that last month, the 7-on-7.
Yeah, he's different. He is extremely talented. You see a motion here.
Newcomb man in motion, although counter out of it.
Yeah, same problem we had on our first counter tray. It's just not fitting right. Guys are running through windows.
I like the concept, though. You get Newcomb in motion, you think he might get the ball if you're the defender.
It's one of my favorite plays. Run jet with your best player and then counter tray off of it.
So the Chiefs had, I'd say, a mixed opening series. They moved it some. Salina made some plays, some as well. Bellefontaine did get a couple of touchdowns. And now we get to see the Bellefontaine defense against the Salina offense.
Yeah, there was enough to build on there. It wasn't perfect by any stretch, but you're looking for some good things to move forward with.
Salina's quarterback last year was a senior. I cannot, his name escapes me. I think his first name was Braylon. He was a really, really good player. So they have a new quarterback this year.
His name was Braylon Gabes, Offensive and Defensive Player of the Year in the Western Buckeye League.
And, gee. Chiefs really had that stiffed out, but they couldn't make the play at the point of attack, at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, the Gabes kid was named Offensive and Defensive Player of the Year in their conference.
Which the Western Buckeye, which is a tough league. And Brian Kennedy, the head coach of Waterson, said he was the best player they played against all year, which I don't know what would some people think of that, because he played team in St. Clair as well, but that's what he said after they played Salina.
Well, he beat out Riley Neer for the District 9 Player of the Year. Coach Brown fought pretty hard for Riley for that award, and it came down to like one vote, and the WBL block really believed in Gabes. He must have had a twin brother, because there's a Caleb Gabes that graduated
there were
well.
two of them, yes.
Also first team All-League.
Two of them, yes.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking before the game. Salina lost a fair amount, but they also have a lot back, so that's indicative of a team that had a good season. They had enough good guys that there's a handful gone and a handful back. Some of the returners, they've got a kid named Dalton Chilcote, who was a first-team All-League lineman. They've got another kid, Cameron Elson, who's honorable mention lineman. Corbin Lehman, a linebacker, honorable mention WBL. Their quarterback is actually back, Tips. That Gabes, I believe, he may have taken some snaps, but I think he was a kind of gadget player. I would feel like they played him all around.
All right.
He caught the ball and ran the ball. Their quarterback's Bobby Morris. He was 59 of 103, 7 touchdowns, 6 interceptions last year. So they didn't throw the ball a ton.
Well, as I look at their team early on, and again, some people wear false numbers. 51 for them is one of their best players. Left tackle, plays kind of defensive tackle defensively. He's a two-way player. He's a really good player. Chiefs have been right at the point of attack here on these first couple of plays.
Yeah, we're in a pretty good position there to make that play and then just kind of lose leverage late.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit of a numbers game. You know, they run that little swing route out there. They've got hat on hat, and then, you know, you get it to an athletic kid that can make one guy miss.
They're good. You can tell that they the success a lot of times carries over from one season to the other. And I would just guess, now I've not researched, but just guessing, Rick, I would say the two of the favorites for sure in the Western Buckeye would be Wapakoneta and Salina.
Yeah, and I would say Wapak, is a strong favorite, and Salina is probably behind them with a group of a couple. St. Mary's probably for second, third.
Good concept again. Pretty easy pitch and catch.
Fake jet to the field and run a solo post slant route to the boundary. It's as long as the receiver crosses the corner's face and you pull everybody away with the jet to try to create the window.
Now, 42 for the Chiefs. Is that a corner?
Yeah, it's the corner down here. I didn't have a number on him. I'm guessing Hayden Allison. Just by the body build.
Okay.
I don't think that's snap. It could be snap.
I don't think it's snap either.
Looks too small for snap.
Quarterback run here. Wow. Nice run.
Well, we stunted the stack backer right at it. He did a great job of collision in that trap, and he just squirted through there.
Yeah.
It looked like we were fit pretty well.
I know. Chiefs have, they have quite a few defenders returning. I mean, they lost some elite I thought Hayden Manns last year at the end was phenomenal. Harper Scott was really, really good. So, I mean, there's, like every high school team, you're going to lose some really good guys. But they have some guys coming back, too. Their linebackers should be pretty good, I think, at Bellefontaine.
Well, no doubt. CC, Carter Caudill, and Jaden Temple are two of the better returning guys the Chiefs have had in quite a few years.
Salina makes this motion before the snap. A lot of one-back set. Oh, there we go. It's well done.
Yeah, number 36 there. That's just QB power, and 36, I believe, is Clary. No, Clary's 58. 36, Avery Stahl, kid that a move in from Centerville. That's a pretty good just individual effort. That, they're running QB power underneath him, and he squeezes down and makes the play.
Yeah, Stahl, as you watch this, is 36, so the end to the far side of the Bellefontaine sidelines, and the end to the near side is 58. That's Aiden Clary.
You got Maddox Curtis here playing the 3 technique here to the boundary, playing tackle. Good edge pressure again. That's Avery Stahl again. Running pretty deep upfield. You'd like to see him tighten a little bit, but in this setting especially, he's able to get home.
Yeah, I like the Chiefs' defensive line so far. I would say that Salina, when they're on defense, their defensive line has kind of had the way. But that, again, I think that's just typical for early scrimmages. But you look at Maddox Curtis, and you and I have talked hours of football. I really haven't talked to you much about him, but he is a hard guy to block at the point of attack. 99, is that
That's
John
Johnny Hoffman. Yeah.
Okay.
And Johnny played quite a bit of defense last year, especially as the season wore on. So, yeah, it's a strength, especially getting Clary. And I think it wouldn't have been a strength if you don't add Clary and Stahl.
Yeah, their front 7 for Bellefontaine should be pretty doggone strong.
Little stunt there, and Salina picks it up, but well covered.
Yeah. Not sure who the coverage guy was. It would be 21 for the Chiefs.
Yeah, I'm struggling with that.
Athletic-looking player, though. Just the way he runs. You see him even go back to go back towards the goal line here for some more of this first and goal situational stuff.
Yeah, he's a good-looking dude for me not to know who he is. That's what's running through my head. I like how he's built. And number 2, of course, down here was Newcomb.
Right.
Yeah, 21 just looks athletic.
With these scrimmages, you need like a sideline investigator for you to see who's who.
That's definitely Hayden Allenson down here to the boundary, number 42.
I don't know who 21 is, but he just the way he moves, he's athletic.
He's playing press man here.
4-man rush. Salina with the fade. And a little bit of an opening.
Well, that actually wasn't man. We let it go, funneled it inside.
That was Brody Boy, and the other safety maybe one of the Stollies. No, we know it's not Spencer Stollies. I don't think he's
Patrick.
playing.
84, Patrick possibly.
I think 84 is Boy.
Yeah, 84
Brody
is
Boy.
Yeah, his old Jacob Boy's number.
Mm-hmm.
So this safety here coming down to the hash, that's 9, so that is Salyer.
19 as well as a defensive back. Maybe Patrick.
Well, no, 19 here is a backer.
Maybe Sam Berry, maybe?
Yeah,
Touchdown.
It definitely could be Sam.
Touchdown for the Bulldogs. Nice power run. And as you're watching us, you might wonder, well, why don't they know the players? Well, there's no rosters out yet, and so many players don't wear their normal number. Like if you've been watching any Bellefontaine football the last 3 years, number 9 is always Tavian St. Clair, but not tonight. He's number 7.
Well, it's really tough with the opposing team who we're unfamiliar with, and they have different numbers.
Salina will open the season against Columbus South. Kind of an interesting non-league game, I thought.
Which they opened with Versailles the last few years.
Yes.
That was their 1 of 2 regular season losses. They got beat 26-0 in week 1 to Versailles. I'm kind of surprised to see that game go away for Columbus South. Now, kind of like us with Coldwater, when you're digging into the MAC, they may felt like they wanted to start with something a little easier.
It's picked. I think that was Salyer.
Number 9, Jacob Salyer. Another addition now. That's addition from within, but played as a freshman, played quarterback on the JV team, and then kind of focused on basketball. I think he played a little golf, and they worked hard to get him out this season. I know Coach Kennedy and Tavian both worked on him pretty good and paying off early.
Yeah, he looks the part.
Well, he's a rangy kid. He's
that's what
tall,
I mean.
6'2", 6'3", can move, can jump.
And you know this being a long-time coach, some of that stuff you either have it or you don't. He's got it.
Yeah, and I think the time away, I hate it more if it's a lineman. I think it hurts you. The time away hurts you when you're playing receiver and DB. Not that it helps to be away, but it's athletic stuff.
And another rollout for the Bulldogs. Not unable to convert.
Yeah, we're getting after him pretty good here.
Yeah. Yeah, would you say, you're the guy that can speak to it better than me, but would you say just, after watching a couple series, the Bellefontaine defense has been a little bit better than the Bellefontaine offense?
We talked about that with Coach Brown in the preview show for Horvath that'll be airing soon. That, as crazy as it is, I think the people in the know feel like the defense will be ahead of the offense here early just because there's so many more returners. Now, obviously, we returned Tavian St. Clair, but there's so many other new faces on offense.
Well, and they lost some really, really good players. I mean, Riley Neer, you and I have talked about, we think he's the best receiver in Bellefontaine history.
In Logan County history.
Yeah, you certainly, that's fair. C.J. Wilson was really, really good player. And Ed, the other thing that doesn't really has not talked about much. I haven't heard much of it in the summer, anyways. They lost Chris Fogan. I mean, that's
almost 4,000 career rushing yards.
I mean, that's your bread and butter for running the football.
Riley Neer has almost 2,000 in a season, the 10th highest total in Ohio high school history on 113 catches. C.J. Wilson has almost 2,000 career yards, which is like second or third most all time in the school's history. And Chris Fogan ends in the top 5 or 6 career rushing yards, all on the same team. That's not to mention Hayden Mans and a bunch of linemen. Now you're seeing some JV guys in here for a few plays.
That's 21, the corner we talked about, though.
Definitely would be Hayden Allison then, because he would be the JV running back, I would guess.
Okay. This is a four-way. The other teams again to the left you can't see are Allen East and Lipsick. Right now we're seeing the Salina Bulldogs. I don't know the other teams that well going in. I would guess Salina's the hardest of the three opponents for the Chiefs tonight.
No doubt. Lipsick was 8-3 last year, but that's a D7 school with a schedule that's just not the same as what you're going to see from Bellefontaine and Salina. Allen East played Indian Lake last year. Allen East ended up falling apart. I believe they were 4-7.
Yeah.
Lost to Indian Lake in a close game and then just kind of fell apart. And that's a team that was in the regional final, 2 years ago.
And I think Rain St. Clair is the quarterback now.
And you're probably going to see a little bit of the same issues out of the JV offensive line. Just, getting a bunch of kids in there that haven't done a whole lot against live bullets. And Salina, I know that's probably their JV, but a couple of decent-looking kids there.
Yeah. 67's a big dude. All three of their down guys are good-looking players.
Yeah,
really?
The kid up top there, the tackle, he doesn't look like a JV guy from here.
No way. And I would guess this blocking for all the teams around Ohio is going to get much better the next 3 weeks.
Well, you're not practicing against their front, and then they're walking these backers up, and a lot of times they're not coming, but they're there. So you have to count for them.
Oh, they called it dead.
Yeah, that's.
They must. Now, is this typical where they're just very protective of the quarterback?
Well, Coach Brown has a whistle in his mouth, it looks like. So is that maybe not? Maybe that's not a whistle, but it kind of looks like it. He could be telling them.
All right, just blow it dead.
You certainly don't want either one of these quarterbacks hit.
No.
I know people could be critical of that and say, well, they need it, and it just.
I see it, but the Salina quarterback took I think a couple sacks or hits too. So.
Well, and their coaches could have told the refs that, hey, we want him to be a
watch
little.
Out.
Yeah, we definitely don't want that. So that's just an identification issue. You got somebody coming off the edge that's out of the box, and we have to slide the protection. So the tackle's occupied. You got a free hitter running off the edge. The only way is for everyone to slide a gap and pick it up. And obviously, you need your tackle with his eyes up looking for that. And that's tough when you're talking JV guys that are getting their first action.
Right. Rick sounds like an old offensive line coach, but you're right. I've never asked you this question. Would you say that the blocking, though, in the next 3 weeks for everybody really takes a few ticks up?
Oh, yeah. We've left a lot of scrimmages over the years feeling like we were in major trouble. It just gets better. And you start repping against the front. Like we're about to see a game here with he shows no goes.
Fumble.
Really struggling with those down guys in this and any of the gap scheme runs have been a challenge.
Well, I thought the lead, you could talk the technical part about it, I thought the lead wasn't bad. They didn't get the one last guy they needed to. I thought they had something brewing on the left part of that running play if they would have picked up the last guy. Am I right on that?
Well, I didn't. It's always hard for me to see the whole thing.
All right.
A lot of times where the trouble comes from is like backside A gap.
Yes, it was a backside player.
Because somebody shows up in there when the window, once the window's created, they shoot it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. This time an empty set for Rain St. Clair, freshman quarterback, Tavian St. Clair's brother.
Another decent pick. I mean, we're looking for baby steps here. So the backer ran backside A. We'd call that ace loop. So he's running A gap to the opposite side, and he's hoping that the center locks onto the nose and that no one's there for him. And we picked him up.
Okay. Would you say these are all JV offensive players?
Yeah.
Okay. There we go.
You know, sometimes it's just as simple as that. Like when you're struggling, just turn and throw a quick slant to a kid that, you know, has got a little bit of talent and just cross the corner's face and away you go. As long as there's no one in that window, it's a one-on-one type situation.
Yeah, good looking throw by Rain St. Clair. Not sure who that receiver is at 36.
That's the defensive end. That's Avery Stahl.
Oh, that's right. It is Stahl.
So you're seeing some maybe varsity defense, second team offense. You know, Rain, we talked about it at the 7-on-7. Rain did an outstanding job at the Ohio State 7-on-7. So Tavian is off to the Elite 11 when the Chiefs go to Columbus. And he's the guy. And he, at the time, and well, still, he's never stepped foot in a high school classroom yet. And he leads the Chiefs to a 4-2 record with a win over Dublin Kaufman. I thought he was the best quarterback of the games we played. I thought he was the best guy.
I tried to hit Stahl on a post, pretty well covered.
I don't know that I remember any freshman or to-be freshman that flicked it any better than what Rain St. Clair does right now, including his brother. And, obviously his brother was really good as a freshman, but, I think Rain is even – I think he's a little further physically. I think he's just a little bigger.
Wow. That's a double-edged sword if your brother's Tavian St. Clair, because there's, it's going to get talked a lot about, but you get to practice and learn from an expert, so to speak.
Well, yeah, I'm sure there's. I can't relate, but I'm sure there's tons of benefits to having an older brother in that situation, and then there's a ton of,
pressure.
Pressure, yeah, sure. And he's going to get talked about in a way that no other freshman backup quarterback gets talked about.
Yeah.
So this JV continues here for 8 plays. This will be the Chieftain JV defense.
High school football can vary so much week to week, though. Salina last year, it was week like 9 or 10. They lost to Wapakoneta. I think it was 30-3. But then they were the team that had the biggest run in the Western Buckeye. Salina was.
Yeah, it's any given Friday night. Then it's matchups and.
Nice looking play by the Chiefs there.
Walpock, if you ask them, they lose, I believe, the week before to Hamilton Baden. Does that sound right?
2 weeks before, because Baden played Salina the next game. Salina won. Then the game after that, Salina lost to Watterson.
Walpock loses their starting quarterback relatively early in the game, I think first half, and maybe even another guy or two that were important. I know that the Walpock coaches who I've talked to in the past year said that they really felt like it got away from them, that it was a golden opportunity.
Yeah, they must have had a heck of a team last year looking at scores.
I think they're going to have a heck of a team this year.
Okay. Roll out. Goes against his body, but the receiver is wide open.
Yeah, just kind of finds that little spot in the zone.
Yeah, flooded the zone, as they say, and roll out. So as a defender, that means you have to cover for quite some time.
Yeah, extended play. We got after him pretty good, 66. Looked like he was about to get home. I'm struggling to see who that is. It could be Jordan Hensley. That would be my guess, which he is the starting right tackle on the other side of when we're on offense.
Chiefs with different defenders as far as it's kind of a hodgepodge, but more JV, I think. I think they're all JV linebackers. It's hard for me to see the numbers right here. Yeah, we'll run to the left. Not much there. Now, do any of these teams, and I don't know what you know about these other three teams formation-wise, but will any of them kind of give you a mirror to Sydney for week one?
Yeah, I don't know enough about any of them to say that. I don't believe Sydney is probably a pass-heavy team. Is that fair, based off of what we've seen with Sydney? Their quarterback situation, is he back?
Yeah, I would say that is true if I had to guess right now. And from what I've seen of Salina, I think they will run it more than they pass it this upcoming year.
Well, certainly last year, just their stats alone, the starter only threw the ball 103 times, so less than 10 times a game.
Yeah. And you were doing some, you always do great prep work for these games. Salina had not been on a great run, really, prior to last year. Then it just took off.
Well, I told you off the air, it really interests me. This Brennan Bader is their coach, and he's a Salina grad. And they hire him in 2017, and he goes 7-3 in year one, but then 5-5, 3-7, 3-6, 1-9, 6-4 in 22, and then 12-3. There's a lot of times in high school football where a guy's not winning ball games, and people get upset and complain enough that a change is made one way or the other, and this guy sticks around and has, the best season, I would guess the best season in Salina history. I'm not a Salina historian, but I don't remember. I do think Salina did have a really big year years ago. They got a great stadium. We've gone over there the last couple times and seen them scrimmage against Coldwater.
I'm older than you, so I sometimes know these things. In 95, Chiefs' first team ever to get in the playoffs, Mike Bath was the quarterback. He set all kinds of records at Miami of Ohio. Then they had a guy named Ben Roethlisberger that came in after him. They were really, really good. They got to the maybe Final Four and lost to Dublin Scioto, who won it.
That's the Chiefs' first playoff appearance?
Yep.
Yeah, I did know that.
And they also, I believe, now this is going back into the 80s, I think they got to the finals and lost to Brecksville, and they had a guy named Tom Tupa that was the quarterback.
First two-point conversion in NFL history, Tom Tupa.
Tupa was a great player for the Buckeyes. Punter. Here comes a quarterback run.
Well, Salina likes to run their quarterbacks.
Yeah, they do.
And I'm going to guess, you talked about that Braylon Gabes being a quarterback. My guess is he was, maybe he did take some snaps. That 100 passes seems almost way too low. It makes me wonder if he didn't, they line him up all over the field.
Now, when the play, a lot of these plays, are they called quarterback power, where they just lead with a bunch of linemen or maybe a lead blocker?
Yeah, that looked like some sort of counter. It looked like we saw a wrap and maybe then another lead guy.
Okay. Yeah, but they do like to run the quarterback. I would guess we're going to see maybe some situational stuff down at the 10-yard line here maybe in a minute. Again, you're watching Salina against Bellefontaine in this four-way. Chiefs in a 4-3, which is what they played the last couple of years defensively. The ball took quite a while to get there on the deep out.
Well, that's a tough throw to make.
Yes.
That's a Tavian throw,
yes.
But that's not necessarily a JV quarterback throw.
No, that's one of the longest ones you have to make. Plus, it can hang up there, which could be bad news for the offense.
We've got some listeners that are already giving us some feedback and want us to note that Jim Otis is from Salina. Jim Otis,
that's
Ohio
right.
State legend.
He is right. That is right. That goes way back.
That's a tip from Brian Harmon.
Yeah. Ooh, tough snap. And that's something that we, sounds so basic, but even so many teams are shotgun. The snap is just, it's paramount in football.
I could do a total dissertation on how important that is, and I think it gets incredibly overlooked by fans and even some coaches that if you don't have someone that can snap that thing back there consistently, you're in trouble. And we have been so fortunate these last few years, and really more than a few years. Last year with Brody Boy, the 2 years before that with Jack Varner, before that Hudson Hall, and that's going back a little bit. we've had some really good guys. Now, I was here at a time where we didn't have the guys to do it, and it's a tough ball game. Now, it looks like we're back with JV offense here.
Yeah, I think so. Well, the thing, it's like playing like, I don't know, 7 on 11 or so to speak. I mean, the defense doesn't even need to be good on some of those plays. Everything is just so discombobulated that they're going to make the play defensively.
Yeah. I mean, you can't play football with a bad snap. And we have seen our fair share of teams that we've played on Friday nights that struggle with it, and it's helped us win the ball game.
Yeah.
And it's not easy to do. That's the other thing that, no one, I'm sensitive to it, but I don't feel like linemen ever get enough credit.
That's true.
Not only, and it's one thing, it's like Luke Varner tell you that it's one thing to snap the ball and, you do everybody get 50 snaps after practice situation and the guy looks good. And then it's another thing here where you got this nose guard in front of you that's trying to eviscerate you on the snap. Well, it's a lot tougher, and you've got to identify linebacker walk up.
Yep.
You got to tell everybody the blocking scheme, and you still, by the way, got to snap the ball.
As a coach, you had a great line. You want to have guys you can trust, and in so many ways, not just physically, but trust to get the snap right. They know what they're doing. They know the line formations. They got to be a guy that's almost a coach out there.
Trust that they'll be there every day. With high school football and with any job, I mean, on some level, what these kids are doing is a job, and it's a job that takes a bunch of straight days of showing up on time and ready to be prepared. You can't have a guy that's going to be, as Coach Brown would say, in the tub, in the training room. And obviously, guys get hurt, but they got to be able to fight through the nagging things and still practice, and because you can't function without your center.
Mm-hmm.
So what I always did was pick my guy that I trusted, and I put him there. And at times it wasn't our best lineman, and that was secondary to me. The blocking, we can figure that out, as we go. And Brody was a good example of that last year. Brody Boy, who's now playing receiver and safety. Brody was not the greatest blocker, but he snapped the ball.
Yeah.
And he was competent as a blocker.
Yeah, it was fine. And the thing that makes him, when I look back on last season, that would stand out to me is there weren't too many plays that were broken plays.
I'll be honest with you, I don't remember any. Now I'm biased.
Yeah, there may not have been any. If it was, we can count them on a couple fingers. And Brody, kind of a guy that's so valuable to the team because he's also the long snapper and a starting safety.
Yeah, and you talk about another role, that long snapper. Nobody knows who he is until he screws it up.
Yeah.
Now that's a nice-looking
better
counter tray there. Now, part of it is they had widened that tackle, so Salina keeps playing with their 4 technique. That's their head up on the tackle. So if he's head up, he's a 4 technique. If he widens, he's a 5. And that guy's even probably wider than a 5. I'd call him a wide 5. That's a nice little bubble to run that trap into, and we fit it under there nice.
Maybe the best-looking inside run of the night for the Chiefs.
Yeah. Yeah, I never know what these people, I coached for a long time, but, people say, well, what's this defense? I mean, it's an odd front. It's all I really care about. I mean, I guess they call it a stack. I mean, I care where the linebackers are, but, I mean, I guess their stack looks like the Mike's over the ball.
Yeah.
But they're moving guys around so much that I don't know if it matters what you call it.
Ooh. That one's picked by the Bulldogs.
Yeah, we got to fight for that ball a little better. But, yeah, obviously it's not where we wanted to put it. But
yeah. Now, the good part is, and we're trying to look for good things for both teams, I thought that play was pretty well blocked up.
Yeah, showing progress. We've got a new offensive line coach, A.J. Pratt, who's been hired in the last 2.5 weeks maybe. A.J. is a longtime Division I college football coach, and I would guess a lot of people don't realize this yet. Coached at Kent State, coached at Western Kentucky, was a tackle tight end coach as a position guy. He was a recruiting coordinator. So he has a long history. He was actually the offensive coordinator in 1998 at Kenton. There's a theory that he's the last coordinator that ever coached a 1,000-yard rusher at Kenton. I don't know. Somebody could fact check that, but he talks about that they ran the ball back then.
They did. I remember that. Well, they also, it's a kind of a yes and no, I'll tell you after this play. There's an inside run for a couple yards to the 33. and you're going to dispute this quickly, I know that, but they have other 1,000-yard rushers, but they were the Mock boys that were quarterbacks. But you're talking a running back.
Agreed, yes, no doubt. But, Coach Pratt, I've known him for a couple years just kind of casually. He went to Capitol with Coach Brown, so we've visited with him a few times. He knows football. So, this offensive line will be much better with his presence and his knowledge, but it takes a while. And he's got some guys helping him. Boris Pattison helped us last year, and Coach Pat does a really good job with the young guys. He knows football. He played on the offensive line for us. Skylar Mifsud has now been moved to the offensive line. He's worked with the receivers the last few years. He's still learning kind of the trade, which that's okay. That's how I got started. I didn't know the offensive line, and Coach Smith asked me to move to it. And it's kind of one of those jobs that if you're willing to put in the work, you can learn a lot. But it is tough early, so it's nice, having Coach Pratt so that when the bullets are flying live, whether it's Sidney, Bellbrook, Westerville Central, that we'll have an experienced guy to look to identify what we need to do.
Well, he's been there and done that. Now, having said that, though, I will tip my hat to Rick here. You did an excellent job. I mean, there were several years at Bellefontaine I thought had pretty good offensive lines.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think we had a good culture. We had some good kids, and I think we took it serious. That's the big thing is you got to make these kids. The O-line never gets any credit, and so you got to create a culture where internally everyone is motivated for each other and for the guys handling the football. And Coach Brown does a good job. He's an old O-lineman as well, so he does a good job of making sure that those kids feel important and lead from the front's what we always said. Yeah.
Yeah, they lead your team in so many ways, especially if you're going to have any success offensively. When we look at these five guys that started the game, you know some of them pretty well. Jesse Castle, what can you expect out of him this year?
Well, Jesse, Charlie Bible got hurt, our right tackle, last year, week 7, week 8, which, really made us nervous at the time. But looking back, it was a blessing, not for Charlie, but for the Chiefs, it probably was a blessing because Jesse gets in there and he starts 4, maybe 5 games. I think he starts certainly against John Glenn, and then I think he even started against London and shared the job with Charlie that night. And Jesse did just fine. Like he was as good as we needed him to be as a sophomore, and he's had a good offseason. These guys, he's put on weight. They like the effort he's given the weight room, and he's got to be our best guy. There's no doubt about that. He needs to be the dude at left tackle that protects Tavian's blind side and make sure everybody goes.
How about Jordan Hensley, right tackle? Now, he's probably more known for a defensive player so far, but how about him?
Rotational player last year on the D-line. Jordan gives great effort. Jordan is very passionate about football. He says he'd like to play college football. The biggest challenge for him is his feet. He just has to, at tackle, the challenge is, especially we've seen it out of Salina, they'll take those defensive end. There's a nice little underneath route. Yeah. They'll widen those guys out and just say, hey, we'll keep this thing simple, and I'll run right past your ears. And you've got to get on that plane because there's a point A, which is the defender, and point B, which is the quarterback, and I better get my feet and my hips on that line segment. I mean, it's a geometry problem, and if I can't get there, I can't block him without holding him. And Jordan's got to, you got to move your feet and get there. And then they move, and then that's where it gets real tough. But we need Jordan.
Okay. Number 3 for the Chiefs made a nice play on that reception. I do not know who he is. Looks like maybe he plays some corner as well.
I'm going to guess Sutton Daring, just based off the build.
All right.
So the Chiefs Salina scrimmage is going quite a bit longer, it looks like, than the Lipsick Allen East.
Yeah. And Sutton's dad was a really, really good player for the Chiefs, kind of back in Rick's era. He was a
defensive
97 grad. Trey Daring.
Yeah, I'm almost certain that's Sutton, just kind of by the walk and the towel and
It's a run by the Bulldogs. Good job by the Chiefs. Thought the end kind of pushed it back in. Or maybe not the end, but the edge player.
Well, 12 shot the window really well and then kind of put his head down a little bit and dove. He about had himself a really nice play.
Yeah, but that was still well done.
Well, Coach Brown will say that these defenders' effort is judged by their proximity to the football on the whistle at the end of the play. So he's looking for 11 hats to the ball every time. They're going to watch film and say, what are you doing, especially when the ball's going away from you, to get to the football?
Yeah, that's well put by Coach Brown.
He's got all kinds of cliches.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, but I'm not looking just at the cliche, but he's right. He's right basically. You want to see gang tackling. The Chiefs' guards, starting offensive guards, are those kind of in the books? That's still kind of a work in progress.
Well, I don't feel like they are, and I'm not, necessarily privy to up to the minute depth chart, so I don't want to pretend I am. At center right now, I know they've been playing Gabe Ferguson and Julius Butler, and I think those guys both got action there in that early session. The guards, you've seen Blake Loomis, who was a quarterback last year, was the JV quarterback. Now he's a guard, and I believe he's a contender to start against Sydney at guard, which is not – it's the road less traveled, but we've done a little bit of that with our linemen.
Yeah.
He's a tough kid. He's a physical player, played linebacker on the JV last year. I'd guess he's in the 2 deep at linebacker as well.
Yeah.
You got Connor Evans, who I really felt like got a lot better last year. Connor is kind of a self-made man. He showed up his freshman year, and he would tell you this, that he was not a very good football player. He didn't know anything about football. He didn't play a lot of sports growing up, and he's one of those dudes that you kind of see in the weight room. You think, okay, he might not be here long, and he just kept showing up, and now he's a junior, and he's got a chance, and he's a great kid, so everybody's certainly rooting for him.
Big dude, too.
Big dude. Heavy-handed, wrestles. When he's engaged, biggest thing, him, just like Hensley's his feet, if he can get his feet right. But when he's engaged, he does a good job with the hand-to-hand. Anything inside, he's going to sit on heavier than these lighter guys. Because sometimes it is physics. Like, if you're 170 pounds and a 270-pound dude is rushing you through your neck, the laws of physics are real. 60 did a good job there, wrong arm, and that's not going to show up on anything. That's a great play by number 60. He's going to have a D-line coach going to come over and tell him good job.
Yep. Chiefs have done a nice job defensively.
So the way they're taking on traps is they're wrong arming. So for a lot of years, we would have attacked the trap with our near shoulder and tried to stuff the trap back into the backfield. And now Coach Pites, who was a coach for us the last couple of years, Aaron Pitesmeyer, he brought the wrong arming in, which is just the opposite. I'm gonna attack that trap with my upfield shoulder and look to spill the play.
Interesting. Now, is it kind of a rarity that high school teams do that?
I wouldn't say rarity, but it's less. We as linemen don't love it. It can be very unsatisfying. When a guy tries to stuff you, it creates a very profound collision that we all enjoy. We can kind of really play the tough guy role and get our bow our necks. And when they wrong arm, it just doesn't feel near. And they can get really low, and they can almost kind of take our aggression away from us as pulling guards.
Okay. And it's probably designed for somebody else to make the play, isn't it?
Exactly. You're giving yourself up. Last year, Parker Knox did a really good job. Those D-line guys, those box 7 guys really loved Parker because he would give his body up. Yeah, he's not going to make a play. I mean, it's almost rare that he'd make a play because he's kamikazeing.
Yeah.
But when you got Carter Caudill and Jaden Temple, it's a pretty good strategy.
Yeah. Allen East and Lipsick getting a little watch here. I got to think this matchup between the Bulldogs and Chiefs just about over.
Yeah, but you want to get these guys reps. I mean, there's really no hurry. I mean, we're about 45 minutes in. That's about the amount of time you're looking for each scrimmage. Get out of here in about 2.5 hours. I think 3 hours is the rule how high school sets up, that you can only play for 3. I don't think we ever do.
Yeah, last year the Chiefs in this early August scrimmage, maybe week 2 in August, was at Lima Senior.
And it was, instead of Salina, it would have been Van Wert, and then instead of Lipsick, it would have been Lima Central Catholic. And that was the 4-way for probably 3 or 4 years, maybe post-COVID. That was the crew. And I like that scrimmage. This is probably a little weaker, just truth be told, trading Lipsick and LCC. LCC's probably been a stronger program. That was probably been one of the better small schools in the area. And then Salina, Van Wert. Now, Salina right now is is probably ahead of Van Wert, but Van Wert was pretty tough there when we first started scrimmaging.
Yes.
I think they were state champions.
They were 2 or 3 years ago. Oh, nice tackle.
Good effort by 14.
Nice tackle. And a good job by the team defense to just kind of keep popping it outside, stringing out the play. Yeah, players have been, I think the first day for, tackling was August 1st. Does that sound right? I think Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday last week was kind of acclimation day. So August 1st, last Thursday, would be a kind of, I don't know if you call it full go, but they're kind of bumping into each other.
So they started on Thursday, which that was the first, and I think they were incidental contacts, what the state calls it, where you're not in full go, but you're allowed to wrap up, and then by Friday, I believe, was the day of what they call chieftain drill, which is an old school kind of bullets flying tackle session.
Oh.
And
they called it that. Okay.
The state has evolved these last few years. There's been a lot of pressure to go spring football in the South. Spring football has been a way of life for a long time. These college coaches, starting with Ryan Day and Urban Meyer and Jim Tressel before him, have pushed Ohio to add spring football. Well, that's a controversial topic. I see both sides. Honestly, as a football coach, I didn't ever say, man, I wish we had another month of kind of full-time coaching. It's just we ask a lot of these kids and we ask a lot of the coaches and families, and maybe a nod to that was instead of adding spring football, which there was resistance to, they added coaching days in the summer. And part of that was you could acclimate, is what they call it, which is get your pads on and get used to hitting in the summer. So then when two-a-days start, which a lot of teams aren't even doing doubles anymore, I've noticed that as talking to area coaches. I don't think many area teams did doubles. Now, Bellefontaine is still doing some true doubles, but not near as many as we used to. But they can start pretty quickly hitting when the preseason camp starts.
A scrimmage between the Chiefs and the Bulldogs. The Salina Bulldogs has come to a close as they'll shake hands. We got to see a bunch of this. What'd you think?
Well, I think it's kind of what I always think of these scrimmages. It looked like everyone's reasonably healthy. I do see someone going to the trainer right now, but that's plenty of things that we saw in the film. We'll show you 100 more that obviously mistakes, things that need to be worked on. But you saw some good stuff. It looked like we were playing hard, and up front, it's an adjustment to a new look, and you haven't prepped against them. You probably I would guess they spent a total of an hour maybe of practice time dedicated to any of these fronts. You're focused on what Sydney runs. Now, I do think Sydney's a stack, so that helps if you can get some crossover stuff there, but enough to move forward, and that's all you're really looking for.
Yeah, that's the tough part for the coaches, too. Like next week will be a jamboree at North Union. Wing tee, power run. Don't see a lot of that anymore in high school football. That was more of a thing in the 70s, 80s, 90s maybe. But that's not what Bellefontaine's going to see in week one with Sydney.
No. And I'm interested to see Sydney, and I might get a chance to go see them scrimmage. They've been scrimmaging Northmont for a long time, and we always used to go to that. We're getting started here, Varsity, with Allen East.
Now, they last year were a power run team. And I never talked to you about this, Rick. You were a chieftain coach. I thought in the that four-way last year at Lima Senior that Allen East, when they had the ball, ran at least at the beginning. They had some good runs against the Chiefs.
Yeah, they did. I do remember that. They handed to us a little bit in that scrimmage, like you said, early on. Then I think we got adjusted. Yeah, they're going to run the ball a bunch. Now their quarterback's back. He's a running guy, little quick speed out here.
Mm-hmm. And from what I remember about them last year, now I know their record was not great, 4-7, but just what I saw in that scrimmage, they were physical when they had the ball. They want to hit you. They're the kind of guys you would like to coach as offensive linemen, I would guess.
They've always had some really thick, good-looking O-line. They've had some wrestlers that were really good that played offensive line for them. Joel Billings is their head coach. He coached here, about 10 years ago. You can get a counter tray here with the QB.
Oh, nice.
Pretty good job around.
Yeah, even though they got 4 or 5 yards, I count that as a win in some ways. Thought the end did a good job.
But Joel coached the O-line and D-line for us, and then went to Allen East, which is where I don't know if Joel played at Allen East, but it's the neighborhood he's from. And he's a line guy, so his lines have reflected that.
I think he did play at Allen East. I'll tell you who else is from Allen East are the Goodwins. Tim Goodwin from Marion Local. That's where he played.
So there they give you a little false look. They run counter tray look that they just ran. They pull two guys around, but then they keep it, and they're hoping that you're looking away and not doing your job here on the kind of backside of the play.
Mm-hmm.
And we stayed home and did a good job of it.
Tell you what, the Chiefs do have some size, though, in their defensive front. Now, Stahl's more of what I would call a speed guy. He's kind of flashed here early on. But Maddox, Curtis, and Hensley, when they're in there, that's a load.
Well, yeah, it's 330 pounds and about 270 pounds.
Oh, boy. Chiefs dodged a bullet.
Yeah, I don't know if that was like a double move or what. It kind of felt like I didn't see it. I'm always watching the line.
Right.
Probably going to have to watch the football a little more this year. I would guess there was some sort of double move up there to get that far behind him.
Do you know who 77 is for the Chiefs?
I bet I can find out.
I don't think it's Maddox Curtis.
Connor Evans. Yeah, that's Connor Evans.
Okay. Well, he's another
starting O-line guy, rotational probably on the D-line.
But the two of those defensive linemen are big.
Yeah.
Toss play.
Yeah, kind of like a little load option where, toss, pitch, whatever you want to call it. They're blocking everybody and getting extra hats out there. Now, the challenge is when you got that big set in, though, is your pass rush is going to be affected or your ability to run down the line is going to be affected. So it's, you want to have a balance there, which that's the nice thing about Clary and the new kid from Centerville, Stahl, is they'll give you the ability to run. And now Johnny can run. Johnny's not a little guy, Johnny Hoffman, but he can get after the quarterback pretty good.
Here comes pretty good pressure, nearly picked. First few plays, it looks to me like Allen East is a little bit more comfortable running the ball than passing it.
And I think that's probably their identity as a program. Their quarterback's back. He was 63. Jackson Thompson, junior. He started as a sophomore last year, junior this year. 63 of 156, 6 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. But he had 510 rushing yards with 9 touchdowns. So definitely a run-heavy team. They return a running back, Jacob Pinks, who had 570 yards rushing. Five touchdowns and 500-some yards rushing.
Chiefs are pretty good pressure, but then quarterback rolls away. Oh, nice play defensively. I think it may have been Braylon Newcomb. It was.
Definitely Braylon Newcomb.
He'll show a little bit of emotion out there. The two-way player. I know we probably have talked about him more in the summer as an offensive player, but he's going to be a very good defensive back too.
Well, I think he's going to make a huge impact on defense. And really, we haven't always had that kind of guy at Bellefontaine on defense. So, yeah, he may end up making as much impact over there.
And just looking at the way he moves, I think he could be a special team star.
He reminds me of Rayvon Rogan, who we had for just, if you blinked, you missed him during the COVID year. Transferred here from Urbana and then quickly transferred back. But he played, I think he played 2 games for us. He was in a goofy, the COVID year and eligibility. But Rayvon was such a difference maker back there, just the rare athleticism and close on the football and separate guys from the football.
I think he played in a game at Kenton Ridge during the COVID year and had a big game. He had like 12 or 13 tackles.
Definitely. That was his main game. Just straight downhill, A-gap run there, gap scheme, and Chiefs, Johnny Hoffman's right there, and stout.
It's stout. I talked about Allen East having big linemen offensively, but they're going against a big defensive front. Chiefs show blitz. And they got him. They got home. It was Johnny Hoffman again.
Yeah, Johnny plays with a great motor. He's really emotional. You see him there smacking himself pretty good. Go get a drink of water.
Those are some of my favorite players to watch in football, though, Rick, at any level. Those defensive linemen that just, kind of one of the guys that comes to mind here would be Ethan Smith. Like he just fires off the ball.
Well, Johnny gets some of it honest. His uncle is the late, great Jesse Williams. So Johnny comes from a line of football players.
Okay.
And Dallas was a good player, and I think sometimes Dallas doesn't get the credit he deserves as a football player.
Ooh.
There we go.
That's Newcomb again.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about there. Not afraid to lay the wood a little bit.
I'll tell you what, this Chieftain defense, now it's still really, really early, but I see the potential for a really good defense.
Definitely.
At really every level.
There's a nice mix. That's what I like.
At every level, too, Rick. We've talked about the linebackers. They'd probably be the first players that come out to make a splash, but they have players at every level. They've got big defensive linemen on the inside. They got, it appears to be some speed and some good edge abilities with Cleary and Stahl. And they got some guys and some new guys in the secondary. You've talked about this maybe 30, 40 minutes ago. Salyer and Newcomb. I mean, 6 months ago, 8 months ago, those are two guys that I would say, well, they're not going to play for the Chiefs. Well, here they are.
No doubt. I'm with you. And then Brody Boy not playing center will make him a better safety. That was a tough task last year.
Again, perfect coverage.
Yeah, just
perfect.
That guy's not open. Curious how Coach Brown likes all this choreography.
That might be the Saturday film session. Again, we're trying to struggle with the numbers. Number 1 was in the defensive backfield that play, too. I'm not sure who that is. He was right by the ball with Newcomb made the play, but one was
Jaden
right.
Temple.
Oh, you're right. It is Jaden Temple. He's a linebacker, but yeah. What time he was in pass coverage.
You know, we talked about kind of him and CC Carter Caudill in passing. Jaden's a difference maker, and well, so is Carter. But Jaden is a different kind of athlete than we generally have on defense. So he can run and he can hit, and you know those are two pretty good qualities in a linebacker.
Always around the ball.
Yeah, really good at chasing it in particular. All right, finally back to the varsity offense here. Another odd front here. This is more of a true stack, what I would call 3-3 stack-ish.
Here's Carter Caudill.
Just outside zone. Everybody's reaching and running. Nothing fancy, but a few yards.
Yeah.
Probably not going to be Carter's specialty, I would guess. I mean, it's not really how he's built, but you know, maybe something they do from time to time to keep people honest. I would guess Carter's a lot more of a gap scheme runner than the outside zone guy.
Mm-hmm.
Probably use Newcomb on those jets when they want to do that. Or Caden Folk, we might see him here a little bit. We haven't talked about him at all.
It's athletic.
I could see him running that from the backfield.
I think Caudill would get a lot of carries down by the goal line. A power runner. St. Clair with a deep drop. Throws into coverage. Oh, nearly a great catch as the receiver turned around. Not sure about the design, you know, maybe the execution. Two receivers are right in the same spot.
Definitely something not right there. We got two guys on top of each other.
But nearly a circus catch by Brody Boy. Now the Chief, I know you focus on the offensive line. That was your job for many years. Can you tell who the center is right now? I think it's number 69 maybe. Here comes the counter. Oh, nice play. Well blocked.
Yeah, 78 is Gabe. So if it's not 78, then it would be Julius Butler.
Yeah, I think it's 69.
Then that would be Julius Butler.
Okay.
I looked down and didn't see that. Looks like one of our best inside runs of the night.
You said 78's Gabe Ferguson?
Yes.
He just trotted on the field to the 45. Now he's going over by the huddle. Would you also say that center position is kind of, you know, still being battled through?
I think it definitely is. Yeah, I think there's plenty to be written in that position over the next couple weeks. And maybe even into the season. I mean, I wouldn't rule that out.
St. Clair again in shotgun.
So White and Clary out there. I think originally maybe weren't sure that we would do that, and then he's looked so good that now that they want to. A little swap route there.
St. Clair with the put it right there. Salyer wanted to turn first, didn't tuck it, and an incompletion.
I was looking up top. We had a nice little swap concept. The inside guy ran up the sideline, and the outside guy ran, broke off towards the middle. But Clary, he's a guy that probably didn't know that that we'd be able to use him in that regard. I think when he first gets here, they're thinking sniffer, and that's the term we use for the wing, and the Hayden Mann's role.
Yep.
And now, he looks so good in that 7 on. I think now they're just going to say, when we want to widen, go 2x2, classic 2x2, they'll just leave him in there.
So he's the inside receiver. Now he's in motion. That is Clary. Oh, now St. Clair's going to run it.
So, true, like, fake jet, it almost looked like there was no blocking. It was like naked. You're trying to catch him out the back door. It'd be interesting if that was a live play, how that would have looked. He's not easy to tackle in the open field. He does a good job. He's still developing as a runner, but I think his best quality is running away from people. And that's not the worst quality in an elite quarterback. You don't necessarily want him, running people over too much.
Yeah, he was going to get at least 5 or 10 yards, and maybe more.
Maybe more.
In a live play. That was a different play, though.
Yeah, it was almost. Yeah, it may have been botched. I can't rule that out because there was no blocking down here.
St. Clair wants to pass and picked. And I think that pick was somewhat due to the pressure.
Yeah, well, no doubt. That was there was a lot of guys beat at the line of scrimmage on that play.
This would be an interesting game. Again, that's not what the intent of these. These are to get your basics down, get better, learn, build on it. But to me, again, the defense looks ahead of the offense.
Agreed.
For both teams.
And I'm not surprised. Well, and defense is easier, honestly. I believe it's just, effort, intensity. Offense is execution and
chemistry.
timing. Yeah.
And chemistry, yeah. It looked like maybe that receiver left a little early, that being Clary, but no whistle.
And so when you're struggling and you're starting to beat yourself a little bit, the easiest thing to do is run a 5-yard sit-down hitch route with Tavian. It's tough to stop. Just break down, press vertical, sit down at 5, get him the ball. That's your run play.
Yeah.
If you're not running the ball very well either, throw that route right there. And he can make that throw. What makes him so much different than everyone else that we've ever had is that he can do it from far hash to sideline.
Yeah. Yep. The arm strength, the zip, and the accuracy.
Well, he's going to throw you open. You're going to turn and you're going to catch it or you're going to eat it.
Do you know who the receiver is that's 19 that caught that ball? Top of the formation? Maybe Patrick Stolle. I'm just going by body.
That would be my guess. Yeah. I don't have that number, but I would guess Patrick. Little short roll.
They love that post, incomplete.
Again, you're getting leakage, though, from the backside on that short roll. And that's the tough thing about the short roll, and that's something that Coach Pratt is bringing to us, is he likes the kind of mini roll set up. What scares me, and I know he knows what he's doing, but what scares me when these young coaches were telling me about it is you got to be careful when you stop because there's trouble behind. And there could be trouble ahead.
Right. You're talking backside pressure.
It's that backside run.
Yeah, backside pressure.
It's tough because, those defenders can kind of do what they want. Once they find themselves on the backside of a roll, their gap scheme responsibilities get kind of like non-important, and they can just run. Now, what you're looking for is to reach and then hinge back.
Allen East with just 3 down guys here at the 10-yard line. Good job by Caudill to break the tackle.
That's a great job by Carter Caudill. We are absolutely beating A gap there, and that's a loss of 6 yards. Instead, it's a gain of 6.
Yep, got to the 3. That's a great 7-yard run.
And that to me is Carter Caudill. That's where he's going to make his hay. Is he's a little tank. He's not going to be easy to bring down.
Yeah. Spark plug. One of the strongest guys in the school.
Oh yeah, pound for pound, the strongest. He is a weight room warrior.
Mm-hmm. And loves the game.
Plays with great passion. Fun to watch.
Chiefs again will do this at the 10. That ball deflected, incomplete. Good job by Alan East. You do not see, and of course, Tavian St. Clair is usually the tallest player on the field. Very rarely do you see a ball hit at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah,
Very
I mean, it was
rarely.
a free runner off the edge there again, and, you know, you got nobody touching him, so his hands are going to go straight up.
Mm-hmm.
But this is to be expected. I mean, this is, you know, that there's going to be some challenges here, and you don't break in a new offensive line and all these new guys and not struggle in the first scrimmage. It's just it's going to happen. It's happened many, many times before. And last year it took us several weeks to get better. I mean, that's not ideal. We're not rooting for that, but it'll take time.
Pressure again. St. Clair gets away. Well, they blow it dead.
Well, that's tough when it's right in A gap. That's, you know, those are the tough ones because there's not a whole lot of alternatives other than what he did there, which is get out of there. Again, though, like you said, I don't know in real football if that's. I mean, it's not a good play, but it might have been a good play.
Could have been a touchdown.
Yeah.
And what Tavian St. Clair does, and of course he's really a 4-year player. He knew immediately to get out of that area, you know, his normal pocket area because of immediate pressure. The tough thing here is Alan East is getting pressure with just 3 down guys.
Well, a lot of it's in A gap. Here comes Sam Mike. That's
Nice
a great
play.
catch.
Touchdown. That's a touchdown.
Well, 100%.
No doubt
it's a
about
touchdown.
it.
It's 100% a touchdown, Phil. Oh, they're saying they killed it. Gee, many Christmas, we killed another one.
Well, you heard this line a lot tonight. In a regular game, that's a touchdown.
100%. That's a great catch by Jacob
Salina.
Sider. That's
Yeah.
a good throw. Well, they sent more than 3 there, and that was part of the problem. They sent the Mike and the Sam, and it looked like they kind of crossed them across the center. The good news is the Chiefs will have, you know, when there is challenges early in the season with blocking people up, there are plenty of things that can be done with game planning and you know, really coaching to win.
True.
That can slow these guys down.
Yeah, that's one of your.
And Braylon Newcomb will absolutely be a person that can neutralize some of that because you start sending that Mike and the Sam Will a bunch, and you start getting the ball to Braylon Newcomb so quick that those guys don't matter. Now those guys aren't chasing Braylon Newcomb, and the only people that are able to tackle him are defensive backs.
Yeah. Yeah, and you said this a while ago, and this is so true. You don't game plan for these scrimmages on how to block their front at all.
At all, hardly.
And so in a way, it's no wonder that the defenses look strong.
And especially when they're sending a lot of pressure. You know, if they're playing base, everybody's kind of better for it. And I'm not judging.
No,
what
I know
they're
what you're
doing.
saying.
You know, they're working on their stunts, but it does. It shifts the balance of power a little bit when you're sending a bunch of people at him. I don't feel like the Chiefs have done as much of that. I think we've sat in our base a little bit.
They have. I'm not sure they've needed to. I mean, their front 7 have been pretty good. Here comes a shot by Alan East and a touchdown.
Yeah,
nice play. When the ball came out, it kind of looked like a looper to me, kind of a duck, so to speak, but it was right there. That was a nice play offensively.
We got behind him. I mean, it's simple. It's if you let a guy get behind you, those things will happen.
And 21, I think you said that's Allenson. He's athletic, but in that situation, first he was just beaten, but he was giving up a lot of size too.
Yeah, and the only way you make up for that is don't let him behind you. And that way you can attack through the ball as opposed to trailing it.
Yeah. Alan East tried to feature 5 some. He just caught the touchdown. And 3, which I'm not sure 3's in there right now. He was kind of their main running back. It's a different running back right now. Chiefs were there.
Yeah, it's just straight zone at him and, you know, playing too high and too passive.
Yeah. Look, they have some different defensive linemen in. 73's in. 62 is in. So in a scrimmage, you see all kinds of combinations.
Yeah, and I'm kicking myself for not getting a whatever roster this.
Well, there
be.
really is.
Yeah, no. I've got a lot of them down. I'm not sure who a couple of these D
You
linemen
just have
are.
some inside
I see J-Mo
connections.
Clement here at Mike now, number 18. That's J-Mo Clement.
Okay.
I can just tell by his posture.
Yeah. Good sure tackle, but an easy completion for the Mustangs. I'm not sure who that. I think it's a safety.
That moves like Patrick Stolley to me, but I know we identified Patrick
Could
as
be.
maybe someone else.
But we don't know who. If 80 is Patrick Stolley, we don't know who 19 was for the Chiefs. Now, will J-Mo Clement play much offense, you think?
Well, I think he was in the mix there at that H spot. Clary will be a tough guy to take off the field. We're going to send some pressure here.
Yeah, they did. They did. Well done.
The question, and I don't know how much can Clary play. I don't know enough about him. Is he a full-time, every down kind of guy? We don't have a ton of those from year to year. Last year, Riley Neer was kind of that guy. Parker Knox was kind of that guy.
Yeah.
But most of the time, guys are more like 1.5, where they'll play full-time one way. I can't imagine he's coming off the field on defense, so J-Mo might be able to take on some of that.
Now, back when you were your late 90s player, was there more two-way guys?
Well, I feel like there was.
Okay.
Also coming from a place like West Liberty Salem in those days where you had a 35-man roster, 40-man roster if you're lucky, you're going to see a lot more of that. I do think part of it is spread offenses. Some of the old-timers get critical of kids that can't play both ways, but there is a difference, especially skill guys, when you're motioning and you're running vertical every freaking down as opposed to wing T, power 28, where there's not a lot of places to run. I'm going to coach him up a little bit here. And this is a nice thing about a scrimmage is, you can stop it. You can coach them.
Yeah. Like I call it situational. And this has got to be one of the most rewarding parts of being a coach. You loved it. You did it for, I think, 17 years at Bellefontaine. Sometimes after the game you're like, oh my goodness, the team didn't do too much well, but then they get so much better.
Yeah. Well, it's experience. A lot of these guys just haven't seen what they haven't seen, and so you gotta get out here and do it. And
that's a nice play on the Mustangs. Nice rollout.
Those are some of the toughest things to defend. When a guy gets out, extends the play, and a guy builds and builds and builds, and he finally finds an open spot.
No play clock in these scrimmage situations. Another deep shot. Oh, they blew it dead. Interesting. Not sure why.
Well, there was a little pressure. I don't know if that was.
Yeah, in these games tonight, we see 3 officials, well, maybe 4, and there's a couple dead ball like pre-snaps, but really not many penalties. Is that kind of par for the course?
I don't think they're trying to get too involved here.
Okay.
I mean, I would guess at times they're telling people what has happened, like, hey, you're holding. There's really no benefit to throwing a flag.
Right. Here comes a run inside. What would you call Allen East offensively? Kind of power run?
Yeah, well, they're definitely gap scheme, a lot of power and a lot of trap. Guard-centric offense, quarterback-centric offense.
So the pulling guard is a popular play call.
I love it.
Allen East trying to see what they can do against this Bellefontaine defense. The quarterback had an alley to run if he wanted. break down defensively. But the Chiefs, again, playing some backup players.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of backups in this
Yeah.
one. I realize that Leipzig is changing conferences this year. They've been in with Allen East, so they played Allen East last year, and Allen East, I believe, beat Leipzig. It's one of Leipzig beat them 21-0, but Leipzig has been in the Northwest Conference with like Ada, Allen East, Columbus Grove, and they're going to the Blanchard Valley Conference is where they're joining, and that's
Liberty Benton.
Liberty Benton, but there's a bunch of shakeup in Northwest, so it may not be Liberty Benton long. It feels like there's been a lot of
Arlington, I would think, would be a staple in the BVC,
and some good ones.
Leipzig's coach this year is last year I should say was Joe Kirkendale. As I look at some of the prep, they lost. They had a good team last year though. They went 8-2, then lost the opening round playoff game to Pandora Gilboa. The only losses were to Bluffton, who was really good, and Columbus Grove, who was really good. Bluffton, I think, plays Benjamin Logan this year in week 1 again.
Yeah.
The Mustangs last year lost to Leipzig 21-0. I'm looking at their scores.
Well, yeah, 2 years ago it was the year for Allen East.
Yeah, they were really good.
They get all the way. They win 3 playoff games and get all the way to the regional final where they get blown out, but it's by Marion Local. So them and everyone else in the state. I know last year talking to Joel in the field before the game, Joel Billings, the head coach at Allen East, he was excited about the year. I don't think he saw 4-7 coming.
Well, I think one of the turning point games was week 3. Allen East was at Indian Lake, and Allen East was up by maybe 15 points, and they squandered the lead in the late. I'm talking fourth quarter, and that kind of got Indian Lake going in a positive way. And I'm going to guess it did just the opposite for the Mustangs.
We did a show with Coach Rapp early this week with Horvath Productions, and Coach Rapp talked about that game and said that he felt like them coming back and beating Allen East totally changed the complexion of their season.
Rain St. Clair, I should say. Oh, nice looking deep
That's
ball.
A great ball.
Yeah,
even though it's incomplete,
right.
It's a great ball. It's exactly where you want him to put it.
Right.
We'll figure it out later.
But just the zip on it, the velocity for a ninth grader.
He can flick it.
I'm not sure who 19. We thought 19 was Patrick Stolley, but I agree with you, Rick. I think Patrick Stolley is 80 tonight for the Chiefs.
Is that possibly Sam Varian?
Could be.
Has he played linebacker?
Could be Sam Varian. I think it is. Once we get into the meat and potatoes 2 weeks from tonight, who would you guess are the Chiefs' top 4 pass catching options?
Well, certainly Newcomb one.
Mm-hmm.
I would guess Salyer, Boy, Folk.
Okay.
A little bit of Clary. I think that's one of the big question marks is how much are they able to get the ball to Aiden Clary? I think we would all agree that we needed to get the ball more to Hayden Manns last year than we did. And obviously we did a lot of great things offensively, but you'd like to see him get more touches.
Yeah.
And sometimes that just it happens. Yeah, I mean, every season you have something when you look back. I think in my opinion, there should be some urgency to get Aiden Clary the ball because especially if the line is struggling early on, he's the kind of guy that can –
safety valve.
Yeah.
Check down, quick.
Get him that speed out. Just get it to him 3 yards, and if he gets anything else, it's a bonus.
Now, as I look, and I've not seen him ever play football until right now, he looks like he might be more of a slot-type player and maybe not a point-of-attack type player like Hayden Manns. Would you agree with that?
Well, I don't know. To me, he looks like a flex tight end. Like he's tall. He's definitely lighter than Hayden, but Hayden was really big dude. Clary's like 6'2", 210, so not exactly light in a slot type.
No,
concept.
not light for a slot, but like what I'm saying, this gets into your stuff. Manns would lead so many of the running plays, he'd be like the point of it. I'm not sure Clary's exactly the same from what I've seen.
He's not as big, but I say 210 still plenty
okay.
big enough to be that guy. But yeah, he's not going to be as physically imposing as Hayden. But I would assume is also a little quicker, just lighter.
Okay.
And he certainly looked like in that 7. It looks like he's spreading out wide here. We got him on the ball up here, don't we? 36?
36 is Stahl.
Oh, 36 is Stahl.
I think
Clary's 58.
Yeah. And I'm not sure he's in right now, again, because this is kind of a hodgepodge, some varsity, some JV. I'm not sure that Clary has been in. No, he's on the sidelines right by 13. He's on the sidelines right now. That's where the numbers, again, are so weird. Aiden Clary's going to get the ball this year, and he's wearing 58.
The H right now is J-Mo Clement.
Yeah. So he's kind of wing to the right, so to speak. J-Mo Clement. Now, who's do you know 12, the running back?
Crew Brandenberry would be my guess.
Okay.
It's a nice cut.
Yeah, it was.
I like that run.
Yeah, it was. You know, you did some of the preview shows. I talked to Andy McGill, assistant coach at West Liberty Salem's football, and Bryce Hodge, Riverside's head football coach. They're very and I, you know, everybody at this time of the year is kind of positive, but I think they think they're going to have two really good teams. They had two really good teams last year. What'd you get out of Coach Brown? I didn't get to see that show with you. And what'd you get out of Coach Jenny at Benjamin Logan and Coach Rapp at Indian Lake?
Well, Coach Brown, you know, he definitely knows that he's got an opportunity here. He's got the number one player in the country, and, you know, he's got enough other kids back starting on that defense, and then, you know, some skill talent that I know, you know, he knows he's got a golden opportunity here that you're not going to get again. I like this. I like
could be
this.
a touchdown. Oh,
man. Again,
Stahl had a
good ball.
chance.
It's exactly what you want out of Rain St. Clair,
Yeah.
what he's done on these deep balls.
Yeah.
And, you know, he throws that thing to Newcomb down the road that we might score there.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, he knows that he's got challenging out-of-conference schedule, though. Sydney's going to be better. Dave Tainer comes in with a lot of credentials, having coached at Lock Haven and at Urbana University. He certainly knows what he's doing. He's created a little bit of a culture at Sydney that they've been lacking, accountability and doing, you know, things that don't beat themselves that you kind of almost got to accept out of Sydney in the past. You're not going to get that anymore out of Sydney. And then adding Bellbrook, you know, Coldwater was a tough game, but Bellbrook's not going to be maybe any easier. Final Four team 2 years ago. Westerville Central comes in with nothing to scream about record-wise, but plenty of talent. couple D1 prospects.
Ooh.
And
well, that'll get your attention.
yeah, no, it's there's going to be some real football games played here in the early season, and then, you know, London's just what they've been doing the last few years. That's not changing anytime soon. Jonathan Alders, you know, the same way. They're gonna put out good football teams, and but you know, the good news is we got a really good football team too. It's going to be different. I think it's exciting. I think he even kind of acknowledged that it's there's enough interesting in there. It's not, we don't have everything figured out yet. The Chiefs don't have everything figured out yet, and they'll have a lot more questions and answers both after tonight, and it'll be worth watching. We talk about having snapping problems. We talked about how it's hard to run an offense if you can't get a good snap, and we've seen that the last couple of plays here with Allen East.
Yeah, 12 just made a play for the Chiefs. And kind of a broken play for Allen East, but 12 looks like he's a running back and a linebacker for Bellefontaine.
Yeah, I think we're pure JV now. I see a freshman coming in there. As far as Coach Rapp, you know, I think he's excited too. He's got a bunch of skill players back. He's got a rare situation where every single guy that caught a ball for him last year is back. It's like 6 guys caught a ball, and they're all back. He's got his running back, Drake Cosby, back. Quest Clay, who's super talented receiver, gave the Chiefs fits last year. Brody Reisinger gave the Chiefs fits last year. You know, Indian Lake gave us fits in general. They were tied at the half, and you know, we were able to lean on him a little bit in the second half. But he's in a little bit of the same boat as the Chiefs, is that he loves his skill guys, but he knows he's got work to do with the lineman types. But he also likes his defense. He's kind of got some of those type guys. Czar Dixon, Cy Cummins, Noah Shirk. He's got some dudes that can run to the ball. I think they're going to have a good year. They start with Anna. That's not a slouch. You know, anytime you're starting with a MAC team, and I think they're scrimmaging New Bremen probably tonight, if not tonight, tomorrow. So we'll know a little more about Indian Lake after you get a report on that. As far as Coach Jenny at Ben Logan, I was pretty impressed with him. It's the first time I ever really met him. he comes with a bunch of experience. He's won almost 150 ball games over like 5 schools. Jonathan Alder, he was the coach at Jonathan Alder when Donnie Nicky was there in the 90s. He was the first guy to take him to the playoffs. Then he coached at Xenia and had some good teams. He's very realistic about who he's got. He's got a ton of young kids back that are probably still young. They're probably still a year away. I don't think he's just going to hand anybody any wins, but he knows that, there's going to be, some still growing pains. But I think Ben Logan's going to be a little bit of a handful in a few years. I think the middle schools have been good. I think this incoming sophomore class is talented.
Good.
And, I don't know if you'll see it this year, but I bet by next year these county games will tighten up some.
Yeah, and Paul doesn't mess around. He's had success pretty much everywhere. And I think the other thing I think you told me about Benjamin Logan is they have a lot of players out.
Yeah, he said he's got 70 guys on the roster. I don't remember a Ben Logan team with 70. The Chiefs, I don't know that Bellefontaine has had over 70, and if we have, it was like 71. That's a big number.
Wow. Well, going back to Indian Lake though, and I do think they'll have a chance for a really good team, but I wonder who the quarterback is though, and I don't know.
It's Lillard. It'll be Lillard again. Now Burke last year was their quarterback, and he had a pretty good season, 2,000 yards total offense. It'll be his younger brother Madden. And
okay.
I don't know that he's a classic quarterback, but he's a playmaker and he's a tough kid. And he's a gym rat. He's a 3-sport guy. They got a bunch of those 3-sport type guys. I think Indian Lake's got a pretty good culture. I told Coach Rapp that, and I think a lot of the Bellefontaine coaches would agree that Indian Lake always, whatever he said his goal every year is whatever they should be, that they're just a little bit better than that. And I think he and Coach Coburn have done a good job over the years of Indian Lake's always a little better than you thought they were going to be. And if they're that this year, I'd guess they win quite a few games.
They always play a very physical brand of football whenever I see them, which is once a year. But they will they'll hit the Chiefs and vice versa. Bellefontaine did pull away in the second half last year, but Bellefontaine had one of the best teams in school history last year.
Always play Bellefontaine tough. Just so many years. Unfortunately they've beat us a few times, and even when they didn't beat us, some of the years we've had our best teams, they've been a thorn in our side.
Watching Allen East and Bellefontaine, I think, just about wrap it up. It looks, they're still playing on the left side. We don't see it, but it's Salina and Lipsick. So the last game for Bellefontaine will be Lipsick, coming up in just a few minutes. Next week, the Chiefs are at North Union, 7 o'clock. Quite a bit different atmosphere than this. It's much more real.
No coaches on the field.
Right. Yeah. So they try to make it like a real game, and then 2 weeks again at Sydney.
So we're back with the JV offense here.
Mm-hmm. I'm not sure who this running back is. Pretty good speed. Looked like there was a flag, though. Holding on the Chiefs. Wow. In the first part of practice, Rick, we about a week and a half in. Do they do much special teams wise? Do you do any of that punt return, kickoff return yet, or that's kind of coming up later this month?
No, they're already doing it. No doubt, they're doing it day one, and at times doing it in the summer as well. Some of those camp days, I'm sure they were doing some. It's too important to wait. They're probably still figuring out their guys. Some of that stuff with specials, you're trying to figure out who's playing so much that you don't want to use. You're trying to find young guys. I was in charge of specials quite a few of the years I coached, I guess, and I always was looking for those JV guys, if I could find 3 or 4 of them, maybe 5, that were the best JV guys that could fill a role for me. Now, that's always the battle with specials. Do you want to put your very best players on them? And when it doesn't go well, you always look around and say, why didn't we have our very best players on them? But when guys are falling out, especially week one, I'm sure, I don't know, I haven't seen the forecast. I'm sure it'll be 92 degrees opening night against Sydney. And that's tough. You got guys asking guys to play slot receiver, defensive back, and run down the field on kickoff. That's tough. So That's a puzzle within a puzzle, and then you got guys hurt, and it's a lot of work, and you need guys that are constantly focused on that to make sure you're good at it.
Now your premium players over at just pretty much every high school still going to be there to return the kick and the punt, right?
Always. Well, definitely, yeah. The punt, especially. You don't ever put anybody back there that ain't one of your very best to field a punt, because there is no harder thing to do in football, I believe, than field a punt. It is, if you've ever done it with a good punter, that thing falls, the way it lands. I did some kick returning in my life. Kick returning's easy. It's it lands in your hands easily. You've got a little bit of space.
Yeah.
Punt returning is tough. It's a scary job.
Well, the other difference to me is that you're a kickoff returner. You have a wedge and kind of an escort of protection, so to speak. Well, as a punt returner, it's got to feel like you're out there all by yourself, because you are.
Well, you've got a tough decision to make. Usually, if it's a good punt and it hangs in the air, the first thing is, am I doing something with this, or am I just killing it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's illegal.
Yeah. A couple flags here in the JV part of this, the last 3 or 4 plays. I think that was Sutton daring in. A couple plays ago, Sutton made a nice catch on a hitch.
They're trying to move you get these young tailbacks. They're running a jet there. They would like to move that tailback so that he can lead block, and so they were moving him at the same time they were motioning the slot.
Would you guess that for the varsity, Braylon Newcomb is a kickoff and punt returner?
I would guess. I'm certainly kick returner. Punt returner, I don't know enough about him. It sounds like a pretty good idea to me. I've not seen him do it.
I haven't either.
There is an element of that from time to time, a guy may not be as good at it as you would think, because it is a specific skill.
Rain St. Clair looking.
Pretty good job by Rain there. Obviously it ends up being dead, but he did a good job of sticking in there when he needed to, and then kind of working his way away to keep the play going. And if this was a real game again, he'd probably tuck that thing and run at some point.
I know A.J. Pratt's working with the offensive line, and I know you love to talk football. In the last 10 days or so, have you two talked technical stuff?
Yeah, I came out to practice one of the first days, and he called me over, and we talked about some of the schemes they're the ones they're keeping, the ones they're changing, the ones they're getting rid of, and that's kind of always the way it works. Is what are you comfortable with, and what can you teach right now? Because you don't want to do too much. You want to run a couple things well. Here's a counter tray. Pretty decent. Yeah, that's a good play right there.
Yeah.
So what you're doing there is you're pulling the guard, and he's trapping the defensive end. So that's the first thing. And then you're taking that H-back, the sniffer, which is Clary with the first team. J-Mo's been in there. Now we probably got a JV guy. I don't know who it was that time. He's wrapping around. So you're going to get a bunch of down blocks on the front side of the play. You're going to get a kick out of the backside guard, and you're going to get a wrap out of the sniffer, out of the H-back. And if it all fits just right, it's nothing but green grass and glory. And that maybe wasn't quite that, but that was a pretty good play.
Pretty good.
And what you'd like to do, and we talked about this, where you get that jet going well, and this is where Newcomb becomes so threatening, is you get that jet going a few times. Now you fake the jet, and you get all them linebackers looking like they better turn and run and chase him, and then you counter back across. We've run that play quite a few years. Obviously, a lot of people run it. Ohio State, in their glory days of 2014, 2015, they'd run, was it Jalen Marshall, on that jet, and then come back with counter tray with Ezekiel Elliott.
Yep.
And it is just, I feel like they ran it against Oregon a bunch of times, and in the national title game. Football's not that complicated. You can do a couple things like that, and then you got a quarterback that can throw it. I mean, you don't need a whole lot else.
And as a lineman, boy, it's got to be such a great feeling when the other team knows it's coming and they can't stop it. And Ohio State has a tremendous team in 14, but their offensive line was very good, and Oregon could not stop that play.
And speaking to the Chiefs, you said the linemen like it. You asked those Chieftain linemen last year, late in the season, when we started getting on that kind of muscle with Chris Fogan late in the playoffs, London in particular and Granville in particular. They start salivating, and we run power and tray in that late stages of that London game. we run it over and over, and they knew it was coming, and they couldn't stop it at that point because their shoulders had dropped, and our guys are, they're full of air. There's something very, they get filled with even late game energy when they feel that, and it's a thing of beauty. Obviously, I'm a little biased being an O-line guy. We much rather run the ball and throw it a bunch of times, but what we'd like to do is we'd like to run it down their throat and then kill them with the pass, knife them, and then go for the jugular with the deep ball.
Yeah. Yeah. Chiefs JV still out there to the left. And again, you can't see this, but Lipsick and Salina are done.
Now, see, they run trips into the boundary here. So 3 guys to the boundary. When I say the boundary, the short side of the field, and then they're going to run outside zone at it. Now, it did not work there. There's people that when that doesn't work, they'll say, why are they running that stretch play into the boundary? That's a stupid call. And then they don't say anything when it works. And I can show you a bunch of clips of Chris Fogan running stretch into the boundary. Now, we like to run buck as well, which buck would be instead of zoning everybody, which everyone's reaching outside, if you tag it buck, that's old school buck sweep. You're going to get a bunch of down at the point of attack, and then you're going to pull your guards around just like they did in 1973.
Yeah.
And now you've got a thing of beauty. So you've had the physicality, especially you got a Clary or a Hayden Manns last year at the point of attack, and they erased that 5 technique, that defensive end that a lot of times one of their best players that cause you problems. And then you get your guard out there if he can run a little bit, and you get him on a corner or a safety, and Chris Fogan tell you he loved that play.
Yeah.
But when it doesn't work, you see that. And you say, well, there was no room there.
Yeah.
I like sometimes running into the boundary. I like it more than sometimes. Those young coaches will tell you I like it a lot. I like it because it forces the running back to cut up field. Sometimes when you run it to the field, guys will run themselves straight out of bounds because they see it and they see grass, and then they see the out of bounds. When you run it into the boundary, you don't have much time.
Yeah, you got to get north. You're right. Well, now we've seen 2 scrimmages. First, it was Bellefontaine and Salina. Then Bellefontaine and Allen East. And I'll say this, which I think this is what a head coach would look for. Both decent teams. Now, I would say Salina is probably a tougher team, bigger school, etc. But Allen East was no cupcake, and I think that's the way to do it. You want to play hard teams in August.
Yeah, no, I mean, we always had talks about these scrimmages, and the first thing that I always look for is you want to have trust because these things can get sideways. The worst thing that can happen out here is you get out here and you get a team that is using it as like a test
week
of their
7.
manhood.
Yeah, week 7. Yeah.
And we've dealt with that with Kenton over the years where we'd get out here and we thought we were there to get better, and they thought we were here to declare supremacy. And obviously you want to compete, but you don't want to compete at the risk of, nonsense. And that's this scrimmage really is an Allen East Bellefontaine scrimmage, and that's a trusting relationship with Joel Billings. Now these other schools have kind of rotated in, and North Union the same way here in the Jamboree. There's now been a multi-year relationship with them. That, hey, we can talk it out. If there's something that, hey, I need to see, I can call you ahead of time and say we don't want to do this or we want to do that. We've jumped around. Before COVID, we jamboreed St. Mary's for quite a few years. Now, that one was an interesting one because they were so physically tough. That one kind of wore on us a little bit. Now, it was good to us, but every year we kind of thought, man, alive. But back then we were getting ready for Walpole.
Right.
And, felt like we needed that physical.
Of 21.
Yeah.
And
it's not easy, but.
And he's one of the better players I've seen tonight. So does it just speak to his, kind of his God-given ability, so to speak?
Certainly some of that, and it's just it's similar to basketball. I mean, what he's doing there doesn't totally, not look a little bit like what he's doing in basketball. That was a good job by Newcomb on that last play. We were kind of uncovered on the slot, and they ran bubble.
Well, they broke the tackle of Carter Caudill. That doesn't happen too often.
2 plays ago, they had a look there with Bubble, the number 2 guy. They throw it to him, and Newcomb is out there by himself, and he just totally beats the block and breaks up the play. Nice job there on that play, inside run.
Now, I don't know much about Lipsick's offense. I know they're Division 7. I know they've been good at times, but do you think, as far as you, and you might not even know, and you do a lot of game prep, are they a run, you think, a pass, kind of mix?
Their quarterback's back, Ty Lammers. He was 51 of 85, which is just, again, not very many throws, 7 touchdowns and 1 interception. It makes me wonder, I'm getting that from the conference website, and no one else was listed. So, I mean, it almost feels like he maybe shared the job. They graduated quite a bit, too. I would guess they would consider themselves young just based off what they lost.
Okay. Chiefs show blitz. Here they come. Oh, nice move on the outside. Got away from snap.
Again, they got that bubble, and that was the same spot that Newcomb was in. And, that time, I would guess that's a little bit of botch because the split end doesn't even touch Caden's snap. He looks like he's going to the safety, and Caden's, one-on-one, obviously, and not able to bring him down. But
Lipsick, though, for a small school, does not have bad size on their offensive front. I don't think. From up here in press row.
Power.
Yeah, nice run.
Yeah, pretty. I mean, decent by both sides. I mean, that's football in a nutshell right there. Just A-gap power and
nice finish.
he definitely drug him.
Yeah, I thought it'd be about a 2-yard run. He got about 5. We know what next week will be, though, Rick. North Union is, if you're looking to see a lot of passing to the receiver, they're not your school. They're going to pound it.
Yeah, and they're maybe not quite as strong the last couple years as we thought when we added them. I kind of thought they'd maybe dominate that side.
Oh, nice catch. Oh, nice move by the receiver.
I think we covered that pretty well. They just run a clear out of the outside guy and then kind of a bench route out of the number 2, and that's a pretty good pitch and catch because it wasn't like it was wide open, and then he does a good job of breaking a tackle.
Is fatigue a thing yet, or because it's so different than a regular game, so much rotational players, fatigue a thing yet if you're a defender?
Normally it would be. It's not near as hot as it feels like these scrimmages usually are. I don't feel like we've played as many snaps with the varsity guys as typical. It feels like we've played almost equal varsity JV.
We got a lot of flag. Thought I heard a whistle. Maybe that was on the other side of the field.
You see Temple coming off this boundary side here. That's something that the Chiefs are able to do all year long, and Coach Peitzmeyer did it quite a bit last year as the season wore on. There's not a lot of good answers for that, and you saw teams doing it to us early on, and it's even as the season wears on, blocking Jaden Temple off the edge will be trouble for Chieftain opponents.
Yeah, he was something else. I know the all-league teams, at any league, you could probably debate this, but how he wasn't a first-team player, I have a problem with it.
Well, he's definitely one of the best linebackers in the league. A little bit with that league stuff is it's a numbers game. Right, wrong, or indifferent, they're not going to let one team have, infinite amount of first-teamers, and I can listen to the argument against that, but the reality is we had a bunch of those dudes, and at some point somebody ends up getting the short end of the stick, and definitely would have been him.
And Harper Scott was sensational, but Jaden Temple led the CBC in tackles.
Agreed, and Carter Caudill was too. Now, we did also play 14 games, but there you go. That's easy money right there. That's a late
pitch
hit.
And catch to Brody Boy.
That is, we should be able to do that 7 times a game. Just turn and run that 5-yard sit-down route, and Tavian will put it right on time. And as long as our receivers just do their job, catch it, and then every now and then, it's okay to break it. Yeah.
Now, is that because the defender play, and some of it goes to Tavian's skill set, but is that just because so many high school corners play way back?
Well, yeah. I mean, they're also worried about Tavian throwing it 40 yards downfield. So you got to sell vertical. That's what they're coaching those kids. Sell vertical, and then break down.
That time St. Clair got pressure. That's been, as I look at maybe the biggest thing, the protection has not been, what you look for. But I think a lot of teams are in that boat right now.
Another thing we haven't seen that when it's for real is we can help them. We can go 6-man pro, and we can even go 7-man pro. And I haven't seen much 7-man pro. I don't know if I've seen any 7-man pro, to be honest with you.
Plus, St. Clair's going to run on some of these plays
Agreed.
in a real game.
So there is hope. You got this wide technique down here. I'll be interested how this looks.
Oh.
So, yeah, it concerned me. Oh, that's a heck of a job.
Wow. Yeah. Well, you could tell some veteran players on that one. So I know what you're talking about. It was a left defensive end who was split so wide, but St. Clair saw that immediately. He stepped up and then just threw a dart to Clary. I believe it was Clary.
35 is that was 35.
Yeah, that's not
35?
Clary.
Folk. That's Caden Folk.
Yes.
Yeah, we ain't talking enough about Caden Folk.
Yes.
Caden Folk's
he's a
big part of this football team. Really athletic, different athlete, honestly. Back to that defensive end. I saw it obviously pre-snap. That's the line coach and me knowing we got trouble. As a tackle, you have to get on that. We talked about that line segment. You can't open the gate. You can't just open up because you'll never be able to stop. And you have to kick step and get on that plane. Might deal with it again. They just went out and attacked him. Now,
nice catch by Newcomb. But that is hard for a tackle. That's be the right tackle. It's Jordan Hensley, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
That's hard.
He's more athletic than you, almost always. And I'm not saying that in particular Jordan or that kid. Those guys that play defensive end are often better athletes than you are.
Quick.
And so you have to rely on fundamentals, and you have to rely on – you have to get your feet set, and then you have to let them come to you. Like there, he attacked him. My guess is saying, okay, if you're going to be that wide technique, I'm going to come get you. Worked better. Now you still can get beat there, and he kind of got beat late.
Another wide stance, though. Lipsick with 4 down guys.
So you run the ball underneath him. Yeah, I don't see where he came from. Just totally unblocked. Mike Backer.
Lipsick, another quote. They're not bad though. For a smaller school, again, not easy. I think all 3 opponents to me have been at least all right.
Oh yeah, no doubt. No, these are all. These guys all had decent years last year, or have had decent years in the last few years. Now, we talked about Lipsick beforehand. I don't know that I've ever competed or coached against Lipsick in my entire life. Where are they?
They're near Findlay. I would guess Putnam County, kind of north of Lima.
Putnam County.
Yeah, like north of Lima, kind of straight north of Lima. There's Newcomb, touchdown.
Straight Burts.
And maybe even, there's no back judge, maybe even a flag on the defender, not that it mattered. But there was some contact.
Well, you asked why they give up that 5-yard sit-down route. That's why. I know that's out of the slot, but that's why.
Yeah.
Because when that kid can run by you and the kid that they're snapping it to can throw it on a rope for 30 yards, it's the great equalizer. So that's the good news. If you're concerned, you say, we're giving up pressure, and certainly you want to get better there. Those are still X factors that can change a football game.
Yeah.
And you can you can do that exact same route and keep 7 guys in. You can keep your sniffer in, Clary. You can keep Carter Caudill in as the T and say, we're going to run a route one-on-one with Braylon Newcomb or whoever, Caden Folk or Jacob Salyer or Brody Boy, and we don't think you can stop it.
Right. Well, if it's one-on-one, I would say Braylon Newcomb is going to win 8 or 9 out of 10.
Counter trade at the boundary here.
See if you're right. You are. You are right. And not much for the running back to do. I think that might be Folk. He gets up gingerly. That's the big thing. You don't want to see anybody get dinged. He made a heck of a catch a few plays ago.
Yeah, back to Folk, because we didn't really talk to him much. He's a guy that came in as a freshman on a really good team, and I said it at the time, we hadn't seen a lot of freshmen look like Caden Folk, and he kind of got lost, just because he was a freshman playing JV. But I said, man, every time I'd see him, I'm coaching the line, but you come down, you say, man, that kid is a little different. And then last year, he had a great year as the season went on, played a lot of defense for us, didn't play as much offense, played some.
Ooh. Good play by the end for Lipsick.
Yeah, you just got to lose a little ground there. You got to get your feet. Offensive line. A lot of what I ever learned about offensive line play was from Charles Bentley, who played for Ohio State, played
really
for the New Orleans Saints. He does an O-line academy, and that's the beauty of 2024. You can dial it up online. I paid for a subscription for a while when I first started, and he keeps things simple. And he says, there's 3 rules of pass pro. A, get out of your stance, and I know that's simple, but you better get out of your stance and do it quickly. 2, you better gather yourself. So not just get out of your stance. You better be ready for a hand-to-hand combat. And 3, stay between the defender and the quarterback. It's as simple as that sometimes. And every time you see a sack situation, it's our feet. Our feet aren't where they need to be. Now, if we just get beat like physically thrown around, that's probably something we can't fix. But when guys are going around us, our feet are just not right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you like again. I'd like to see us bow our neck here. This is a situation where we get a little bit of feel good here, get a few stops. I think they've been getting 4 plays from the 10.
Yes.
It's a different look here out of Lipsick. I like this formation. They're going to do something quick to the outside. Yeah, and it works. So you bring everybody together. It's like the opposite of spread. You bring everybody tight. You bring your 2x2, but you're in a tight 2x2, and then you just try to hook everybody, and you run a quick toss to the sideline. And it wasn't even that quick, and it still worked.
Yeah. Back in the old days, different formation. They might call it like Statue of Liberty, where you just pull the whole team to the strong side of the play.
Well, in there they didn't even pull anybody.
Right.
They just beat you by condensing you and then running to space.
Yeah.
So now they got a tight bunch. I don't feel like they've run this much either. So they got 3 guys all in a little mini bunch here.
Yeah, they're multiple. They're giving a.
And really all they're trying to do is make sure you have a one-on-one to the other side.
Yeah.
So kind of the opposite of what I said, I guess. It's
nice balance, though. You look at the last 2 plays, very different plays.
Well, and again, simple concepts. Bring them all tight, run fast the outside, put 3 dudes to occupy, get your safeties are going to roll to it, and then guarantee that you got a pitch and catch one-on-one. Possible fatigue now. You asked if we were tired, and it feels like we're tired right now. The straight man free here.
Yep. Fade. Nicely done. I know he didn't turn his head around, but he squeezed the window to get the ball in there, I thought.
Yeah, he's there. You'd like to see us look back for the ball and use our hands a little bit. Don't like to see our hands down by our side in that situation.
Mm-hmm. New player. I do not know 23 for
I don't
the
either,
Chiefs.
and I'm not sure I'm going to. Another thing that we haven't really seen out of the Chiefs that will come into factor is that type of play for the Chiefs is those one-on-one fades as we get into the red zone.
And Lipsick and shotgun.
Back into zone here.
Just
They're
don't
going
see
to run
many.
the ball here.
I think, look like a broken play maybe. Oh, picked.
Yeah.
What a play by Newcomb. What instincts.
Just smash concept. They sit the split down, try to hold Newcomb there. He says, I don't think so. And he basically climbs over top the corner route out of number 2. And, you get an extra hat there because of him. Yeah, he's different. It's as simple as that.
I don't think he was his man, though. I think he came off his man.
Yeah, he just they were in some sort of zone there. I don't know, possibly in quarters. But he didn't bite on the little decoy quick screen guy.
Now the Chiefs will maybe get some 1st and goal to 10 work.
Well, it wasn't the finish that, Chiefs are hoping for defensively, but you do finish with a good play by Newcomb there. Gives you a little positivity. Like to put a couple of these in the end zone.
St. Clair with the running back to his left. Going to throw a quick one out to Salyer. Makes the catch. Got about 4.
Easy money. Quick screen. You know, a lot of Riley Neer's yards last year are those kind of plays where he just catches it and then, gains 15 and 20, if not more.
Now, would you say there's kind of two play callers here working in concert for the Chiefs with Jake Kennedy and A.J. Pratt? Do they work together in that department?
I'm not sure how that's developed yet.
Okay. All right.
That's probably tough to do this early. I would guess J.K. is doing everything at this point just based off of kind of watching him too as well.
Quick pass to Boy, incomplete.
Right idea, just not on the same page there. Yeah, calling it together it's not easy. It takes a lot of time and, guys on the same page in a way that it's tough to get in a week and a half.
Well, you and Jake have great chemistry.
Yeah, but that's years of trust. I coached him, start with that, and then coached with him and friends, and there's just a lot of trust there of mutual respect and working together, and that's and playing off each other's strengths in a way that you can't do that in day one. That's years in the making.
Now Jaden Temple is slot receiver. That's a little different look.
Yeah, and so he's in Clary's role here, coming across the middle. Ooh.
Oh!
There you go.
Well, not bad defense, but just better offense.
Yeah, just a little out route out of number 1. Yeah, I thought it looked like Temple was running kind of that build route in the middle. It looked, and that's another guy. We didn't really talk too much about him offensively. He had a good 7-on-7 as well here a few weeks ago, and he's a guy that they can find to get the ball, especially in that quick stuff, kind of relief of any kind of pressure.
Salina and Allen East playing off to our left. We're not showing that, but we've had doubleheader football, I guess you could say, all night long here. All this started about 2 hours ago. St. Clair has a man wide open. Touchdown for Newcomb.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Obviously, someone fell down.
Yeah,
That's
14 for Lipsick.
Not supposed to be that easy.
No.
Well, I think you're going to see a lot of that this year. I think number 2 is going to make a lot of people fall down.
He's a special player. Riley Neer was a special player, too. Are they similar, different, a little bit of both, you'd say?
Everybody definitely, this is the popular thing is to compare them, and I get it. Definitely just built different. Riley's taller and more of a classic where Newcomb's, more of a pure slot guy.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really fair for me to say right now.
Okay.
If he can have the impact numerically that Riley had, then we're in for a lot of good things this year. That's a really high bar to set. But he doesn't have, and I don't mean this in any way disrespectful to anyone, but he doesn't have a C.J. Wilson on his team. Riley had C.J. Wilson also with like 800 yards. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, Riley's numbers, as big as they were, he had a number 2 that was legit as far as going to take on a pretty decent sized role. Newcomb may garner more of the timeshare, if that makes sense. And they may get him to – they didn't have a Chris Fogan either, so they might hand him the ball a little more. Now, Riley did take a fair amount of those jets, which those are receiving yards, which I hate. But
well, both are dynamic skill players for sure.
No doubt. And Riley's – I don't know if you realize Riley's gone on to OU, and it sounds like all the reports are it's going really, really well. He's not too far out of the mix. I think I don't want to say he's in the 2 deep because that may not be accurate, but if he's not in the 2 deep, he's close.
Yeah, he'll be a scholarship player, I would think.
I don't think there's any doubt. And I felt that really the entire time. I don't understand why he wasn't offered. It blew my mind. We talked about this at the 7 on how he wasn't first team all State, and I probably cared about that more than I should have. But it just was right.
It was right.
And,
You're right.
And how he wasn't chosen for the North-South All-Star game.
Yeah,
I mean,
I totally agree with everything you're saying. I think some of that stuff they have to set and this doesn't make it right, but you have to set yourself up with the great junior year to kind of build that, to get your name out there, so to speak. And he was kind of the jack of all trades. Like, if he would have played receiver all 4 years, he would have totally staggering, unbelievable numbers, which he already does have. But he also would have been a scholarship player because they would have just known about that skill set earlier.
Yeah, his career, he definitely was, and we said it at the time, that we jerked him around, and I don't mean that as a negative. I mean, some of that just had to happen.
Necessity.
His freshman year, or his freshman year, he gets hurt. Honestly, he probably would have played some as a freshman because we had quarterback injuries his freshman year.
Mm-hmm.
I think he would have played, but he had a season-ending back injury early on,
Mm-hmm.
which I think we've gone to JV again here.
Yeah.
And then his sophomore year, we basically, he's a man without a position. His sophomore year, he's a starting quarterback to start off with Tavian St. Clair. And, then by midseason, Tavian kind of emerged as, okay, this guy's, he's going to be different. But Riley did a great job at quarterback for us. I mean, we start that season, you remember 4-0.
4-0.
With a win over Watterson, a game that nobody gave us a chance to win. And we go to their place and beat them. And Riley's a huge part of that. And then by the time that Tavian is comfortable, Riley never quite finds his footing offensively because it's just hard midseason to take on a huge role. Then as a junior, he does a lot of different things, and at times we have to count on him to be our feature back, which really wasn't fair to him. Even though he did a good job and he had some nice games, it just wasn't his natural skill set. He could do it, but it wasn't where he thrived. And then finally, as a senior, Chris stays healthy the whole year, and he just explodes.
Yeah. Is it a big concern for a running back to also be a Mike backer? And it's not like Carter Caudill's going to run 20 times a game, but is that a thing where coaches talk about and think about?
Depends on the kid. I mean, if he's some players that you're fortunate to have that he's at the point of attack on both sides of the ball, but it is a lot of collisions. We're to the point, like I said, that I think in Bellefontaine rather not play somebody every down on both sides unless you have to, or if they're just so good. And I think Carter, my guess is he will rotate a fair amount on offense.
Okay.
I don't think he'll take every snap because they'll go empty looks. My guess is a lot of times when they're empty, no back in the backfield, that you'll see Carter on the sidelines in those settings. And I think, I have not seen, have we played Caden Folk in the backfield today?
That's where he got hurt when he ran
Okay.
he counted the counter play, got hurt.
I got you. So, I think there's a chance he takes on some of that. Caden Snap has kind of been a guy in the mix at running back. Mm-hmm. He hasn't really had a chance to really show it too much on Friday nights. But there's other guys on this team that can carry the football.
This scrimmage kind of winding down in the 4 schools tonight. Bellefontaine, Lipsick, Salina, and Allen East. Chiefs stay in that 4-man front. That guy did everything but catch it. I thought he was going to make a nice adjustment. Unable to reel it in. We're seeing some, maybe all JV guys here defensively. How about for you, Rick, the transition from you've been around football since you were probably, I don't know, 7, 8 years old?
Well, officially 5th grade.
Okay. But now not doing it. But you're still out, you're around the team some. You're good friends.
We're running a flag football league with 82 kids this week.
Wow.
Yeah.
82.
82 K
so
through
still,
6.
You're still kind of involved that way, but not being a high school coach, is it kind of strange right now?
Oh, the job needs done with those little guys. The main purpose behind this was to go and be able to get that flag league going and give an opportunity to our young kids. The first focus was that K through 2 because that they don't play tackle, and then that kind of evolved of, hey, we can also do 3, 4, 5, 6 for the kids that want it. There's not near as many. The K 1 and 2 is where most of our kids are at, and we just want to give them a good opportunity.
Okay.
It's there are places that play tackle football with kindergartners. I think it's absolutely insane. I can't even imagine my son playing tackle football, but flag is good for him, and he doesn't really know what's going on there either, but it's a good opportunity to run around and learn something. So busy doing that. Yeah, it's different. The thing that you miss about not coaching that you never can recreate is the building of your position. So, you start with day one, which day one's more like in January, and you're trying to build this thing, and you're stacking days upon days on top of each other, whether it's in the weight room or it's in skill work or it's in, actual practice time, individual time, and building that into something tangible and that you can use on Friday nights and the relationships. I mean, there's no substituting that. And we see some quasi-varsity guys in here now. You got J-Mo at the sniffer. Yeah, just not blocked up totally right there on the edge. You can't let that forced defender, be free.
We think that was Sutton Daring.
I think so. Like, in the line, I won't talk about the line every time as much as we have tonight, but it is a unique place to coach. I mean, I highly encourage any young coaches, and that's said that to Coach Mifsud, like go down to those linemen are the greatest guys to coach because they want to do right by you. They want to get better, and it isn't always easy for them, but they will all show up tomorrow eager to see, because the tape won't lie. Just like that end coming off the edge there, that don't lie. So there's a lesson to be learned there. And that's a young freshman, learning the lesson there.
Yeah, Coach Brown talking to him.
I think that's young Mr. Slayback. Okay. And he's got a future. I know who he is just because I know how he looks. He's a big fella with a future, but he's got to learn to not open that gate up.
Yeah, and that's all coachable, fixable. That's got, a couple of positions in football you're kind of out there by yourself would be corner on defense and then offensive tackle, because if you mess up as an offensive tackle on a pass play, boy, it can look like that.
Yep. And so what do you do the next time? You run quick game.
Yeah.
So you say, all right, I don't want to see that happen again, so I'm going to get rid of this thing so quick we don't have to block a soul.
That was Sam Varian.
Yep. Sam's going to have – if he can stay in there and stay committed, he's going to have a decent role with this team as well on both sides of the ball. He's going to be in the mix at receiver, be in the mix at linebacker. I would guess he's a special teams guy they'd like to have on all those squads. Sammy can run and hit.
Well, from what I saw tonight, just going by playing time, I think he's a starting outside backer. Touchdown.
On cue.
Touchdown.
So there you go. You go quick game, and you say, all right, next time we're going to, we're going to throw it short and we're going to throw it deep. And that young left tackle, he did enough on that one. I was watching him. It may not have been perfect, but he gave Rain enough time to make that throw.
Yeah.
You don't have to be perfect.
And Sam Varian right on cue makes a couple catches back-to-back and touchdown Chiefs.
Well, he's definitely, there's no doubt Sam's a guy that doesn't belong out there right now. And
yeah.
He's getting reps. And there's, these are number twos, and they're trying to get him in there. As long as he's there every day and stays committed, he's going to have as much work as he'd ever want on Friday nights.
Yeah, probably what I would call a three-way player. He's going to play some offense. I think he's going to play a lot of defense. And I'm going to guess he'll play some specials. No
doubt. And he's an X-factor guy. I mean, every year you go into you have a list of guys. There's certain guys Tavian, even Newcomb being new to us, Newcomb, the talent just you can't ignore. What you're going to get a little bit. Nice. Just good, solid pitch and catch. Keep it simple.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I have not seen Rain St. Clair play much. You have. He's got some skills.
No doubt. He is the future is bright for him. He flicks it, that throw right there
Perfect.
Is not a freshman throw.
No. Perfect.
But those X-Factor guys, Sam Varian, he needs to have a good season. Johnny Hoffman needs to have a good season. A few of those linemen, whoever it ends up being, it can be any of the above. Jacob Salyer, a guy that, especially on defense, that could, certainly he's going to be involved in the offense, but can he make plays on defense?
little high. Well, that's another thing that I think made the Chiefs so special last year. Now, they had some great players. I mean, again, I thought at the end of the last 5-6 games, defensively, Hayden Mans was a game wrecker. Riley Neer, we just talked about, best receiver we've seen. But they had other guys that just superseded what I would have thought. Owen Larison.
Parker Knox.
Charlie Bible. And those are glue guys that make a difference on winning or losing big games.
Yeah, I mean, Maddox Curtis last year showing up out of the blue from Covington High School. We don't even know who he is, and showing up and having a solid season. Yeah, guys that we just didn't know if we could count on.
Chiefs trying to finish strong here. I got to think we're about at the end. Here's this JV running back. Quick feet. I do not know who that is. Maybe you thought maybe Crew Brandberry.
Well, he was definitely the kind of feature of the younger backs last year.
He's got quick feet, though, I think.
And if you can get that, and that's counter Trey again, if you can get that thing when that sniffer comes around, what the last thing you want him to do is just running up other people's butts. As that thing got sealed really well, if he can just continue on, then he can become the lead like into the open field, and I think that thing had a chance to actually – I think we almost had a big run there.
Mm-hmm.
We had a nice run. We almost had a big one.
Mm-hmm. St. Clair throws
Sometimes it's too easy.
Now, that's what the football term, that's a bubble screen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does the receiver
I don't know if I would call it a bubble. I'd call it a quick screen.
Quick screen, okay. Is the receiver going to catch it and always go inside? Because that's kind of how the spacing is set up, or they might make a fake and go outside.
They're not really teaching it to tunnel. Like, to me, and you start saying you're always going inside, that's a tunnel screen.
Mm-hmm.
That's a quick screen where he's catching. Now, generally, it probably carries him more cut up inside.
Yeah, okay.
But, yeah, really the defender's going to leverage that. I mean, if he's inside, you're going to go outside.
Yeah.
And really it's designed to gain 3 yards. And anything above 3 yards then is bonus. And, again, it's an offensive lineman's best friend because it's a play you truly, like when you grade the offensive lineman, a lot of times you just kind of put – now you'll watch, footwork and stuff, but it's kind of a non-play.
Here, no specialties, no punts, no kickoffs, no extra points. Next week we'll see some of that, though, right?
Yeah, they won't probably be live. It feels like it's always like a kickoff that nobody can hit anybody. But you at least see who's out there.
Yeah, the mechanics of it. Ooh.
And, punter, speaking of the Chiefs in 2024, not enough attention was on C.J. Wilson last year and what an incredible job he did as a punter. I thought he was a weapon.
He was good.
And not only was he a weapon punting it, I love it when my punter is one of my best players because it changes how I view, as a defense, it changes how I view coming at you if I know it's a guy that can handle it. I think it's looking like Alex Crable, which he definitely has a foot to do it. Now, I haven't seen him in a live situation yet.
New stadium lights are on.
Yeah.
And the new goalposts, by the way, they're sharp.
I didn't know that.
They're not new goalposts; they're restored. But they were at the end of the school year, kind of looking a little old, little old, I guess. But now they're you can't miss them.
I don't know if we get enough credit in Bellefontaine how nice our stadium is. You hear about Sydney, and certainly Sydney does have a really nice stadium.
Yeah.
But I think we have a really nice stadium here. There's something about that backdrop.
Yeah, that's what I bring up I haven't brought it up tonight yet, but I mean, yeah, the backdrop, great view.
I like in-town stadiums too. It seems like over the years more schools have been kind of built at the outskirts of town. I like having a city feel to it, especially with the park.
Oh, good play defensively. I'm not sure who it was. 52. He just would not give up. Held on to that leg, and that was it. Lipsick last year. I did not bring their 24 schedule, but I'm trying to think who they opened up with last year. Look at the 23 packet we have for tonight. Again, last year they went 8-3.
Well, they would have a different schedule due to the change of the league. So
probably, although they played last year it was Lake, and that's not Indian Lake. That's probably Millbury Lake up by Toledo. So
they open with Lake again.
That could be the same.
At home against Lake, and then Van Buren,
Yep, that's
Elmwood.
the same.
And then they get into their league with Pandora, Gilboa, who they played in the playoffs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now they're in a league with them. Arcadia, Riverdale, Macomb, Liberty Benton, Arlington, and then Ada. Now, the thing about that Ada game, I guess I didn't realize. So Ada is – because I feel like Ada's moving conferences as well.
Mm-hmm.
So they must be moving to this BVC.
Mm-hmm.
This is the Blanchard Valley Conference. Feels like it's been around for a long time.
Yeah. So they left the Northwest. Ada must have, I'm guessing.
Yes.
And they're going to the BVC, Blanchard Valley.
I feel like Northwest Ohio has had a lot of movement
changes,
in the last few years. You see some of those schools like Findlay, they struggle because they're like the only big school within an hour-plus drive.
Nice play by Lipsick on that one. That was a broken play, but the quarterback and receiver still in tune. They pick up about 20 yards. You're right, though. Findlay.
And they've had to join up with basically the Toledo schools.
Yeah, track, I think is what it's called.
Yeah, the TRAC. And then the private schools in Toledo have always struggled, and they finally just gave up and joined up with Detroit. And they play in a conference now like Toledo St. John's, Toledo St. Francis. They're playing Detroit Central Catholic and all the private schools of Detroit. You don't see that very often where a team wants to play out of state, but I think they just got tired of fighting the battle.
Do you know if the Chiefs played Findlay in the 7-on-7 at Ohio State in June?
I was there. No, we didn't play.
Did not play them. Okay. I think they did last year.
Correct. In the tournament, in the finals. Lost in the last play of the game. It was the championship game. Findlay beats the Chiefs, on the last play of the game.
This stuff's got to be about wrapping up. There's no clock, no game clock per se. Is it by possessions, like amount of series each team will get? Is it by amount of plays that?
Yeah, scripted amount of plays.
Okay.
So they've been doing like 8, and then when they get down by the red
4.
zone in the 10, they go 4.
4, yeah.
And these coaches have this all scripted out. Like, you don't want to get in a situation where you're off the cuff picking your rotation. So they all sat down within the last 2 days and wrote out what plays everyone would play. Because if you leave it to just doing it on the fly, you're going to look over. Oh,
wow! Touchdown by Lipsick. That's a good-looking receiver.
Yeah, nifty-looking kid.
Broke out of a tackle.
Well, something to coach up tomorrow.
Would you feel accurate in this one, Rick, that all 4 of these teams would have a winning record this year?
That would be my guess. I mean, based off of previous, I think Salina is probably no better than the third best team in the WBL. That's my guess. Now, the fact they're starting with Columbus South tells me they're going to win week 1. And so, you know, and not no disrespect to Columbus South. They beat the Chiefs in the playoffs in the COVID year.
Yeah,
so and that was their best year.
But
they had that tank and running back.
Yeah, they were good.
But and they're well coached. I think that guy's still there. So I respect what he's done at South, but I'm sure Salina will win that game. I would guess they lose to Walpock and St. Mary's. And then, OG is always a team that can come up and bite you.
Not good last year, but they've had some really good teams.
And, Van Wert seems like they've trended back down a little bit. I don't know much about the Lima schools, Shawnee and Bath. Bath feels like they've been down for a long time.
Yes.
Shawnee seems a little better. Kenton has been down for a while. It seems like I keep hearing they're getting better, but I don't know if record-wise that's really manifested.
Okay.
And then Allen East, I just think they're maybe a little, I wouldn't say bigger size-wise than some of the schools they play, but they feel a little more established than some of the teams on their schedule. Harder for me to say with Lipsick, but yeah, I'd guess all winning records. It'll be interesting with this scrimmage. It's, in general, it'll go somewhere else next year, and I guess Allen East will host next year just because the other 2 are new and won't feel like they're owed it yet.
So good 4-way. What do you like about the Jamboree with North Union?
Well, I like the proximity. And, I think sometimes coaches don't care about that, but I've always thought it's silly to drive far away for a scrimmage or any game. If I can stay within a half hour or no more than an hour, that's what I would vote for. I always tell the story of one time years ago when we were struggling. We went up to Clear Fork. We had a relationship with them for a little bit, and it was one of the years we weren't very good. I think like 2011, and we went up there and just got pummeled by Clear Fork and Zanesville and I want to say Marion Pleasant. And I remember saying to our coaches that, we passed 20 schools that could have done that to us on the way to Clear Fork. So, yeah, obviously you care about who you're playing, but you're not trying to get your fans to have to drive forever. You could argue, and I've heard some people argue that, we could play a little tougher right now. It's kind of trended towards these smaller schools. Here we go. I still like where that ball is. I mean, I'm just looking at where the ball is. That's where I want it.
Yeah.
There's only one kid that was going to catch that ball.
Yeah. So what you call outside shoulder, right?
Yep. And I can tell you again, there's a couple cats on that varsity team that's a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
So, you can make the argument that we've trended a little bit here. And again, a lot of times with scrimmages, it's relationships. And like I said, this is kind of a Joel Billings, Allen East, Bellefontaine scrimmage. And you know that you're going to get good work in and everybody's going to act reasonable. There's not going to be any fights. And if there is, it's going to be dealt with. And like I said, there was years ago with Kenton, it got to the point where it felt like we were going there to test our manhood every year. And I don't go for that. I mean,
no.
That is a great play.
That's a touchdown.
Yeah, we need to find out if that's Crew Brandenberry, because if it is, he needs credit for that. That's a heck of a run.
Rick is on it to his private investigators on the sideline. We're going to find out who this is. We've talked about 12 a little bit before. I'm not sure it's him, though. I had Crew in class
a little like Harper Scott there.
Yeah, I had Crew in class last year, and I didn't think he was that long. I don't think it's him. I could be wrong. We'll see. Whoever it is, tip our cap to him. Do you see it all the years you coach where a guy on the JV part of the scrimmage just does so well that it's time to say, hey.
Yeah, definitely. Well, maybe not even this year, but next year. When Desmond Libertus was a freshman. Right. I remember up at Kenton watching Desmond. Speaking of Kenton, watching Desmond Libertus and saying, which guy like Desmond we already knew.
Right.
His reputation preceded him, but yeah, you saw some difference. But yeah, I mean, you always tell young guys, hey, look, nobody. The coaches would love for a dude to show up and prove that they need to be playing.
Wow.
Well, early reports are it is Brandenberry, but those are non-confirmed.
All right. Oh, now
there we're getting the lights.
The lights for a touchdown. Kind of the London deal.
Yeah.
I think 12's made. I know it's JV, but he's
this light situation. So this is a response to London, the new lights, which we needed new lights anyways, right? When they kind of get to the point.
Yeah.
So my point, and I only speak for myself, is if we're going to make the atmosphere better with the lights, let's turn the music up. Because the worst part about our game day atmosphere is that we play music that I go to church and the music's louder. So crank the music up. Let the complaints rain down upon
a noise ordinance violation.
Absolutely, we should commit a noise ordinance every Friday night. It is silly. We need to crank this music up, because when we walked out to London, if you want to know why they played that Enter Sandman, and I know they did it for them and those lights. Well, I remember looking at Hayden Manns and saying, it was working for us too. It was that was an electric atmosphere.
Yeah. And the thing they did, which I never brought this one up to you, they did it for, I think, when the Chiefs scored touchdowns too. So it's not just for like the home.
Because it was a playoff game, they had to.
Okay.
Now they won't do that this year when we go there. Absolutely, we're not getting that treatment. Because it was a playoff game, they had to, whatever they did for their squad, they had to do for ours.
Interesting. Learn something new every game. Because when that happened, I'm thinking, well, that's kind of interesting. They're celebrating the Chiefs.
We got too many guys on the field. Okay. Looked like Ben Logan 2016.
With all the
when they scored was 13 guys.
Oh, here comes
again.
Yeah. Now the touchdown down to
not
the
quite.
One. Not sure who the receiver is. And if we're doing this like a real game, and sometimes Michael Horvath, our director and producer, will have replay. I thought maybe our tackle got away with the hold, but no such deal in this scrimmage.
We're hoping those tackles hold. We need a little holding going on. Sometimes you need a little help.
Okay. Tackle, the hardest offensive line position in your mind?
Yeah, well, center first just because of the snapping part.
Okay,
But,
okay.
yeah, certainly blocking the tackle because, like you said, he can be put on Front Street.
He's on an island.
There's nobody that can help him that wide look. Well, unless you give him help. Just need your sniffer there, number 24. So you're running that outside zone. He's got that wide technique. So he's not, alignment-wise, he's beat. So he's going to have to, what do you say, like J-step, lose a little ground, and reach to that outside shoulder. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't even have to beat him. He just has to get in his way. Just get in his upfield shoulder so that he doesn't do what he just did there.
Yeah.
And that's why we sometimes run buck. Now, again, actually there, he's so wide that we would have had to been in some sort of bunch look to have pinched that end.
Okay.
But what you see is when they widen out like that so much, then run underneath it.
Yeah. Offenses are, especially in the run game, trying to outnumber the defense pretty much.
Outnumber, out-leverage.
The other scrimmage to the left here, Salina and Allen East done. They're done. And this one's very close to being done as well. Nice catch.
When in doubt, run that 5-yard hitch.
Yeah. Not sure who 15 is, but he was a spirited player. He didn't want to go down.
I'd guess C.J. Butler, but it's just a guess.
Did he play football last year?
Yeah. Good young prospect at the skill position.
All right.
That's a wrap.
Looks like that will be a wrap here. We'll do a quick little post game. We've seen it was against a 4-way. Bellefontaine played the other 3 visiting teams, each for maybe a half hour, 40 minutes. It was Salina first, then Allen East, then Lipsick. And then they eventually played against each other, so they each get 3 opponents tonight. What'd you make out of the Chiefs?
Well, we look to be injury-free. I mean, at least the things we could see, nothing catastrophic. We competed. I kind of always feel like I feel the same way after these scrimmages. There's enough good there to move forward. There's plenty enough bad there to feel like we better show up tomorrow and get better. Definitely see some bright spots. I thought defensively we talked about. I think it's safe to say that our speculation, the defense is ahead of the offense as a unit, is probably accurate. Mm-hmm. I thought Braylon Newcomb continues to, we kind of already know, even though he's still not played an actual game, what we have with him, that he's special. He's different. Tavian is Tavian. I thought Jacob Salyer kind of stood out a little bit and need to see him continue to move forward. I feel good about next week. Go get back to work, and you hope that North Union you clean up, certainly up front. I mean, that's what everyone want to talk about. Offensive line, take a step forward next week. You don't have to be perfect by next Thursday night, but just be better. And then we'll probably schematically we'll be a little more prepared for North Union because it's one team. I bet we'll do a little better job of helping our offensive linemen because we'll game plan, not a bunch, but we'll game plan a day and a half, maybe even 2 days for North Union.
Yeah, I guess I should say because I said a week from tonight. The Jamboree's next Thursday night?
Yes.
Thursday night the 15th.
Which I love, and that's something I felt like started a few years ago. Now it's just become like what the Chiefs do, and I think others do it as well. It's just nice to give you that extra day to get ready for Sydney.
Okay, so it'll be Thursday night the 15th at North Union for the Jamboree, 7 o'clock kick. I know that. Rick, thanks for helping again.
I'm excited. I think it's going to be that's the thing is no doubt the Chiefs are poised for a really good year, but in addition to that, there's a lot of interesting things that are going to play out with some new opponents, with some new faces, and I think every Friday night's going to be an interesting night of football.
Yeah, no doubt. Thanks to Michael Horvath, our director-producer here for Horvath Productions, the whole crew that made it happen here tonight. From AccuSports Stadium, also thanks to the coaches for their help and the athletic directors from the schools that help us out as well. I'm Bill Tipple for Rick Reed saying so long. The Chiefs are at North Union next Thursday night, the 15th, for the Jamboree. Before we do it for real, August 23rd at Sydney. Have a great night.